Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to round number 6 of the SOP Motorsport British GT Championship Season 3. This week, it's Brands Hatch. The GT4s are already out in qualifying, as you can hear in the background. Let me just check if that volume's okay. It's not bad. Joining me once again to take in all the actions, we'll have a quick look through the tables. For the 2-hour race we've got at the Brands Hatch this afternoon, Mr. SOP, Mr. Simon Baggis. How are you doing today, Simon? Hopefully bought Mum something nice for Mother's Day. I'm saying I hope you bought your mum something nice for Mother's Day.
Yeah, something like that, mate. Gifted her me sat on the PC commentating on a British GT race. Yeah.
What more could a mother ask for, honestly?
Exactly.
She must be delighted. Not as delighted as we are, though, to be here to preside over the action. We're in the GT4s. It is the Ginetta show at the top of the table, separated by 17 points. And the penultimate round, it's McLeod Racing and SOP Esports. The two Ginettas currently in the top 3 as well. We've got Simulation Esports in 3rd, Black Snow Racing in 4th, and Sloshy Motorsport in 5th. The F1 Memes team finished 6th last time out to bring home 6th in the championship. In the GT3s, it's Connection Lost Racing. 3rd, 2nd place finish in a row sees them atop the table by 43 points ahead of Wild Things Racing, who did miss round number 1. So certainly a case of what could have been for them definite title challengers if they've been here for the whole season. Then it's a couple of SOP cars. 3rd and 4th separated by only 2 points. Inter-team bragging rights on the line. And the F1 Memes Racing team, they've definitely threatened this season, and they finally fulfilled that promise with a first place to see them 5th in the championship, closely followed by the team of Rookie Monsters in 6th, Vivo Global Racing in 7th, Race Ventura, well alrighty then, in 8th place, Team Shoey Skins in 9th, and Team FWR rounding out the top 10 in the GT3s. It's been a phenomenal competition so far in both classes, Simon, but those Ginettas, talk about a great all-round car. They have been the absolute business in the GT4s, and we've seen a Ginetta on the podium in every single round. In fact, there's only one race that a Ginetta hasn't won, so these little cars definitely getting the job done over the season.
Yeah, and the top 2 teams in the GT4 class have actually shared the top 2 steps of the podium in 4 of the 5 rounds that have been so far. You know, they've shared either the first or second place finishes at rounds 1, 3, 4 and 5. Unfortunately, we are without the 888 SOP Esports Ginetta today, so that's an opportunity for some of the teams to capitalise. But of course, those top 2 Ginetta teams, the 41 and the 888, are pretty far ahead of the rest of the teams in the GT4 class. So yeah, it does open up some opportunities for the teams further down to close that gap upon the top 2. Simulation Esports, the number 4, they've had to miss round number 4, but they're back in action and they were on the podium last time around. So expect them to be near the front in the Porsche Cayman. And yes, once again, it's the usual protagonists in the GT3 class. Connection Loss Racing, the 404, Wild Things Racing, the number 10. They both got success penalties. And like you said, the F1 Memes Racing team, they picked up their first win of the season, their first top 5 in their first podium. So they're 5th in the standings, and they've got to deal with the biggest success penalty in the pit stops.
They do, yes, as Simon's mentioned there, we do gift the lucky winners of the race. You get yourself on the podium, we'll give you some extra time in the pits for your efforts. That's right, if you finish first, you will receive 20 seconds to serve in the pit stops. If you're second, it's 15 seconds in the pit stop. And if you're third place, you will receive 10 seconds added to your pit stop for the next event. Of course, with it being a driver swap situation, that is the only mandatory requirements, that the teams do swap drivers. There's no driver stint timer or maximum length of time that any one driver can stay out. So yeah, when they come in to do the driver swap, they will spend spend that extra time in there. We've tried to weight extra kilograms with the success balance. We're now copying the British GT series with the time penalty, and it's worked out really well, Simon. It's brought some it's certainly mixed up some of the standings, and it's brought us some really teams really close together points wise in the middle of the pack as well.
Yeah, do you know what? I actually think I prefer the success penalty rather than a ballast system. Like I said, it's worked really well for this season of British GT Championships. And it's something that we may utilise going forward, rather than giving certain manufacturers or certain team ballast each round. We'll give them a success penalty to serve in the pit stop. This seems to really bring a lot of the pack closer together, because it means after the stops, you know, those leading teams drop down the order and they've actually got to fight their way back through. So it gives other teams opportunities to break away and catch a win.
It does indeed, yeah. Obviously not in the GT4 class. The Ginettas have been fairly stingy sharing out the wins. The only other one, of course, is Simulation Esports Porsche Cayman. At the moment, it's as you would expect in an SOP event. Currently the qualifying 8 thousandths behind the top spot is Christoph Verstappen. Could we see a BMW break the dominance here in the competition for the Ginettas? McLeod Racing currently in second. It's the 8 thousandths behind. Matthias Kazzelia, he's a 10th and a half back, and then Zach Dahl half a second behind Kazzelia, but still 9/10 of a second separating the top 5. We do have a GT4 in the pits.
No. that is a GT3 car.
Oh yeah, so it is.
It's just been a last-minute change of driver, so they're not showing as pro-plated driver in the GT3 class. Yeah, that's all.
Got you. Yeah, so 4 minutes left of the GT4 qualifying, and the GT3 drivers will come out again. That's been a connection lost racing in the BMW, very dominant there. The Aston Martins certainly doing well in the GT3s as well, but connection lost racing. Every single race they've been on the podium. 1/3, 3 seconds, and a first. With 2 races to go. It's a big gap they've got up at the front. Only 17 points though. Separating the top 2 in the GT4s. But as Simon said, we're missing one of those Ginettas. Yeah, so they won't be garnering any points this week for Strepen. Right, that's him just on a flying lap now. It said he was 1.1 seconds up there. As I say, that's very, very, very good time to be setting. Here comes the F1 memes car out of the pits. And 3 minutes left to go. Sarum Pa. It's going quite quickly on this one. He's got a good 210s here. He could go sub 31.
Yeah, they've been there or thereabouts this championship as the 230 BMW. They picked up 2 4th place finishes, 2 5th place finishes, and then a top 10 at round number 3. So yeah, they're just shy of the Ginetta pace in the whole season, but it seems like they're stringing it all together just to hold them off right now. And yeah, it's nice to see the BMW at the front of the grid here at Brands Hatch.
It is indeed, yeah. So where is he in the lap? He's there. Yeah, Zagdal is already at the Clark curve. He's just lost a lot of time there through the penultimate corner. Is he going to go any quicker here? He was threatening to go a bit quicker there. Doesn't improve on his time. Matthias Sarampa going quicker. So too is Verstappen. Has he gone sub 31? Sub 32 he has indeed. 31.877, but Christoph Verstappen absolutely not out of it at all. He is green on his delta. Let's just go back to level. 32.030 his quickest time, now up against a 31.877.
I do expect these lap times to improve every single lap as well, because the weekend started as a fast track for the practice session, and it's only just evolved to an optimum track for qualifying. So the level of optimumness is just going to keep increasing as these cars continue to put laps in. So I think these final runs could possibly be the fastest runs.
Yeah, well, the drivers will certainly be hoping so. Zolotarev, he's carrying well over half a second at the moment. He's only halfway in the lap. I'm expecting him to find a lot more time as he goes on. Sarampa into the penultimate corner. He's going to cross the line. He's going to have time to get another lap. Unless he does something very good through Clark Curve here. This is not going to be an improvement on his time, with BMW just slightly unsettled as he steered in there. Past the pit entrance, which is a bit of a nightmare to get into, if we're being honest. And no improvement on his times. Zolotav's lost a lot of time through that lap as well. In fact, we just see some dust kicking up there. And see too, just coming to the end of the lap. He is green on the deltas, but it's not going to be a significant improvement on his time. It won't be a positional improvement either. But he will get another crack at it. He's got 35 seconds left. Yep, so he's fine. And we've got Grondolier's in the pit for the B-Sim Racing team. They won't be setting any more times. Kadzalia's in the pits. Christoph Verstappen is someplace in the crowd, I think. Don't know what's going on.
I don't think anybody's improving now, John. Actually, they've all skipped their final runs. Actually, there I was saying everyone's going to go faster, but yeah, no, the 230's safe, I think.
Yeah, Zolotarev, I don't think he's going to threaten pole position. But, he's really pushing there. He was 8 tenths up on his lap, and he's just lost 3 of those tenths. So he is half a second up. So I think Zolotarev will go a bit quicker, but I don't think it's going to see an improvement in his position. We'll keep an eye on that anyway. So at the moment in the GT4 class, it's a clean sweep of the sectors for Saranpa and Santarin and the Black Snow Racing teams, because Zolotarev right over on the side there. Yep, that is him. Done with qualifying as well. So is Black Snow Racing taking pole position. We're at 31.877. A tenth and a half quicker than Verstappen and Ulrich in second. Kazelia and Kaczynski for Simulation Esports there in third. Then it's Zach Galton Keenan in fourth. Grondeliers and Sofru in fifth. And it's Zolotarev and Kildashare for the F1 Memes team. Going to start in that sixth position. Now it is down to the GT3s. They've got 15 minutes to stake their claim for the top spot. Ilko Busink, the first one out on track. There is Jordan Daly, someplace. There he is there. There is Simulations GT3 BMW. Drivers all time to warm their tyres. The camera doing whatever it feels like. There's Filipiak there. Kashik Crash for a run racing team at Bunyan. There is the F1 Memes team. Eugene Goncharuk making his debut in the series for the F1 team. There's Martin Larenc, the Connection Lost car. Absolutely dominant this season. Given the points gap, you would say pretty much a foregone. I mean, it's a 43 point gap they've got at the moment, Simon, with only 35 points for a win. So Martin Larenc and the gang, they just need to finish, I mean, even just this race, and they've got this one firmly in the bag.
Yeah, exactly. They've had a solid championship. Finish this one, and it should be theirs. Doesn't matter what happens at the final round. And I mean, technically speaking, it shouldn't matter what happens at the final round regardless, because Wild Things Racing, who were in second place in the championship, had to miss the first round themselves, and they haven't been able to string better results than Connection Lost Racing over the season. So it is pretty much championship sewn up with the 404 BMW in the GT3 class. But every other position is still wide open. Wild Things Racing in second, you know, they're only 8 points clear of SOP Esports Aston, who are only 2 points clear of the SOP Esports Porsche, and then just around 10 points behind that is the F1 Memes team, and then Team Rookie Monsters. So any of these teams from second to sixth could potentially still grab an overall championship podium in the last 2 rounds. And we are actually missing the 3-2-4 and the number 7 SOP Esports Racing teams. So definitely time for the 47 and the 37 to capitalise. F1 Memes team and Team Rookie Monsters, they could both end up jumping up to even second or third in the championship after today's round.
Yeah, a lot still to play for sure. We've got Dark Destroyer in the chat. AP, how you doing? Polish Racer, go CLR. Connection Lost Racing currently find themselves at 10th and a half. Ooh. That was a sideways Porsche. An SOP one. Llama Chaos Ente. Llama Chaos. Let's go for Llama Chaos. How you doing? Thank you very much for the follow. Welcome along, SOP. I hope you're looking forward to tonight's race as much as we are. Now, we're talking about how close it was in the GT4s. The top 11 in the GT3s separated by 9 tenths of a second, and the top 3 separated by half a tenth. Half a tenth. McLaren, Aston Martin and Porsche, the top 3 manufacturers in the race at the moment. Laurent trying to find himself a bit of space. He was directly behind Darrell Young throughout that qualifying session. He's dropped back a little bit. Can he find the room? Does he have any more pace to bring Christian Ekman bringing up the rear for the GT3s at the moment? Oh, a little bit of net code there. We've got... We did have a car at the side of the track. Oh, it was the pole sitter Jordan Daly. 123.6 he's set. But yeah, Ekman, there is Mark Bunyan in the SOP Porsche. Saw sitting sideways on the track. He's 9/10 off the pace at the moment. Martin Larenc, if he's actually carrying the type of time that Delta is suggesting, he's about to completely blow the rest of the field absolutely out the water. Darrell Young's going to temporarily be pole position, and Larenc 2.5 tenths quicker than Young. So Young, for half a second, or for about a second or two, was pole position. Larenc straight in there with a 23.082. Incredible time. And Hajo Horman as well shoots himself up into 5th position. Zach Duran's going to cross the line. Big jumping position as well, up into 4th place. Love to see it. Sven Corving for the NOV2 team, carrying some time as well. So too Mark Bunyan. I can see him jump a few rows. But already, Simon, that Martin Larenc and the Connection Lost Racing team, given how close the rest of the field is, yeah, halfway through qualifying, they're already 2.5 tenths ahead of the next best team, and they definitely do not look like slowing down any. So competition in the bag, maybe. Race wins on the cards, definitely for Larenc and the gang still.
Yeah, the top two title challengers, they're sitting first and second in this qualifying so far, 2 tenths separating those, and actually this is probably the closest the qualifying has been all season between all the GT3s. Less than 2 seconds, you know, less than a second separating the top 10, and well, half a second separating third to 12th, so that's probably the closest we've seen so far. Don't forget, the top 2 teams here have got the success penalties to serve, and Brands Hatch is quite a tricky venue to overtake on. So if they do come out with their pit stops and they find themselves stuck in traffic, it may be tough for them to make their way to the front, and maybe, just maybe, we might see another different race winner here, because the Porsches and McLarens actually go rather well at Brands Hatch compared to Spa-Francorchamps, where the Porsches definitely struggle for straight line speed. So it might be a bit of a role reversed for the teams that do not have any success penalties to serve today.
Yeah, it's definitely going to play a fairly huge factor in it, you would think. While you were talking there, Simon, we've seen Zach Duran, a name well known to us here. Racing, well, this is the Porsche team. Is it Team Shazoo? I'm sure that's what his team usually is.
Yes.
Oh, it's Jimmy Skins he's with at the moment. But yeah, he's... Oh, no, he's not. I apologise. He's 5th because Jordan Daly, one-time pole sitter, has answered back. He has now gone up to 4th place. Busick in 3rd. Darrell Young still 2nd. Larenc still leading the way. Duran coming across the line again. Won't improve this time. Christian Ekman will. Not enough to improve on his position, but it's going to give him a good flying start to the next lap. So he's getting close to Corvig's time. Very close. In fact, 9 tenths separating the top 3. Separating the top 11. I was looking at the top 3 there because Young and Busick, almost identical times there. 1 minute 23.3 for both of them. Larenc, what do you think, Simon? 5 minutes left to go. Will we see a 1 minute 22?
It is possible. Like I said, track evolution is a thing we should be seeing here. We know how fast Larenc and the 404 can get, and we see it time and time again that they do tend to leave their best to the very last lap. The question is whether anybody can get close to them. That's going to be the main factor. I'm not sure the Wild Things Racing team, who are currently second in qualifying.
Third. They've just been overtaken by Jordan Daly.
Okay, there we go then. So what I was going to say was I don't think it's the Wild Things Racing's strongest lineup here today. There's no Ben Langford, who's been in that Wild Things Racing number 10 for the majority of the season.
He's a bit quick.
So, yeah.
Oh,
I think
Duran! Look at the time difference there. 2 thousandths of a second. What a lap from Duran. I was glad we were on board with that. And he's straight back out to give that another one. Sorry, Simon, I just absolutely shrieked right over the top of there.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine.
But that poor Zach Duran. I mean, I did say, I've pointed them out. We know he is very quick. Road, America, Atlanta. Which one was it? Yeah, putting a phenomenal performance at that one. 23.080 compared to 23.082. Phenomenal stuff. Darryl Young for the Wild Things then in third. He's within a tenth and a half still. Jordan Daly within 2 tenths. Ilko Busink within 3 tenths. With 3 minutes left to go. The top 11 separated by just under 9 tenths of a second now. Absolutely incredible stuff.
It is incredible, yeah. This GT3 pack are getting closer together as these laps are unfolding. And starting in second, is it the worst place for the 404 BMW? No. But could it cause them problems in the race? Absolutely. You know, they haven't got that clean air in front of them. If they don't get the jump over the Porsche, I think they'll actually struggle to find their way through. And then that makes them a target for the other teams behind. And we talked earlier about, you know, the 404's championship. They've got one hand on the trophy. If they have a DNF here, if something goes horribly wrong, it opens up the championship entirely still. So it's never over until the final checkered flag. Hopefully we get an amazing race here today.
Oh, I can guarantee we're getting an amazing race. I was just about to say Oliver Zewig for the Vivid Global Racing team popped himself up to 6th, but his teammate, Hadjo Horman, popped himself up to, sorry, it was 5th and 6th they had. Then Busink, Daly, Young all strengthening their position up at the top. Duran still leading the way. Barmy Gamer, good evening, John and Sai. Saying a little both. Good evening, Barmy. Hope things are well. We thought you said in chat stream, Raven, this should be an interesting. It will. Well, look at these qualifying times. There's half a second separating the top 8. It's going to be close. 9th and 10th and 11th have set almost an identical time. 12th and 13th have set almost identical times. There is 0 time pretty much between Duran and Lorenk on the top spot. 2,000ths of a second separating these two. None of the top 2 green on the deltas at the moment. Darryl Young is, I'll tell you what, he is threatening a 22.
Make or break lap now this is from Lorenk. Just started his final qualifying run.
Oh, James Rollins. Hold my Sunday roast, said Mr. Rollins in the Porsche. He comes down that last corner. Goodness gracious me. Ladies and gentlemen, please take to your feet and we'll have a standing ovation for Mr. Rollins. What?
Yeah, I saw that I was 6 tenths up as well.
What happened?
Not sure what happened there.
He was on for a 22 there, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. I don't know where that disappeared to.
Okay, well, I apologise for the anticlimax here, but I can assure you, as Simon is confirming, yeah, Mr. Rollins in that Porsche was 6 tenths up on his time, and he's under less than 6 tenths behind pole position, so he was absolutely flying on that. Zach Duran, go on, you go, Simon.
Right now, Lorenk is a 10th up, but like you were just about to say, Zach Duran is also up on his time. So this is so close.
That's unbelievable. Love to see it. It's no wonder I'm always exhausted by the end of an SOP race. The qualifying can sometimes...
He's going to do it.
Oh. How is it even possible for these two to have traded positions 3 times and still not be underneath 1 minute 23? That is unbelievable. 1 minute 23.045 versus 123.080. It's really incredible. And then there's Darrell Young, only 2/10 back. Here comes Jordan Daly. He had a shot sitting on the top spot as well. Ilko Busic's still out on the track. He's down his time. Misha Filipiak for Simulation Esports still out there as well. Christian Ekman looking to improve. Has Daly got anything to cross the line? He does, up to 3rd position. The front row and the front row are separated by 3500s and the second row are separated by 400s.
Mighty really close. Amazing.
Zach Duran in the chat saying he choked. Zach, what a lap. What a lap that was. Incredible stuff. I'm totally blown away by that. I'm supposed to be broadcasting this. Let me just do my job and bring up the timetables. That was phenomenal. Yeah, and look at that. Young and Pixley in 4th place, the fastest car in Sector 2. Woo! I hope you're all sitting comfortably for this evening's race, because I won't be by the end of it, that's for sure. Laurent did take connection, lost racing, continue their dominance. 1 minute 23.045, second place. 1 minute 23.080 for Duran and Chen. Then it's Daly and Edwards for Race Ventura with a 123.185. Then it's Young and Pixley for Wild Things Racing with a 225. Then 280, Horman and Snelsger for Vivid Global. Then it's the Rookie Monsters, not too far behind. Just incredible time. Exactly 0.3 of a second separating the top 6 teams. Filipiak and Osterschars for Simulation, Ewig and Wisey for Vivid Global Racing. Then it's SOP and Iran Racing in 9th and 10th. Then it's the F1 Memes and Team Ekman, Christian and Alexander. Who did, right at the death there, get themselves just in front of Corvink and Clark. And a quick reminder in the GT4s, it's Black Snow Racing taking the top spot with Verstrepper and Ulrich in second, Kadzeli and Kaczynski for Simulation in third. Then it's Zach Dahl and Keenan in fourth, Gondoliers and Soufrier in fifth, and it's Zolotarev and Kildashev for the F1 Memes team in sixth position. But as you were saying, Simon, this season the qualifying hasn't been overly close. Brands Hatch has completely rewritten that one, and the prospect of the race ahead of us here is, borderline frightening, given how close some of these times are.
Yeah, definitely quality, not quantity here today, with only 13 GT3s and 6 GT4s. But the times and how close these drivers have been in qualifying is certainly going to shape for a fantastic race. And there's a few unknowns as well, you know. The 404 machine with Larank at the wheel at the minute, he's got a new teammate here today. So there's no Tom Bryant, who is usually taking over the second stints of the 404. Like we saw, like I said earlier, the number 10, Darrell Young, has been present, but he's got no Ben Langford with him today. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these second drivers take over these machines and whether they've got the same type of pace to keep their cars in the same type of positions. Don't forget, the number 404 and the number 10 have got the success penalties as well. We don't have the other... Oh no, yeah, we do, sorry. What am I talking about? The winner last time around, the number 47, didn't have a great qualifying actually. They were all the way down in 11th, and they got a 20-second time penalty to serve. So it's going to be a upward battle for them from 11th place. And then, yeah, for the GT4s, you've got the 41 and the number 4, who are starting behind the BMW of 7 par. They both got success penalties to serve as well. So it's looking really interesting to see how this race develops. BMW's taking pole positions in both classes. We are in for a treat, John.
We absolutely, most certainly are. And it is the penultimate round of the championship. We are back to Donington. Even just saying the name of that, honestly, some of these British tracks really do fill me with fear. Just sitting at the other end of the microphone, Oulton and Donington. Wow. Yeah, what tracks they are. That is running now, so we can do that. But yeah, we'll be finishing at Donington. Another track not massively famous for its overtaking opportunities. So yeah, the success penalties could well play a big part in that. Munchie's at the ready. I'm going to enjoy this race, says Dark Destroyer. Pretty much guarantee that. And we've got a follow, Briggs 1702. Thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to SOP.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly touch on Donington actually, John, because obviously the first race that we had at Donington was a completely wet race. So the final Donington round is going to be a dry race. And again, that could be a round that completely turns things on its head, because we may see different teams appearing near the front in the different conditions. You know, the Aston Martins were strong at Donington in the wet, so were the BMWs. And I expect them to be strong in the dry as well, but there are certainly other cars and teams that can also make their way to the front in the wet at Donington, especially the Porsches.
Yes, the Porsches are a bit handy in the wet, aren't they? Especially with some of the drivers that we've got at the helms for them, Duran, and Busink, and Rollins as well. Still don't get what happened with Rollins' time, because he is, like, let's face it, it's James. He is, he's more than capable of mixing it with those times up at the front end. So yeah, for me, he could certainly be a bit of a surprise package. I wouldn't actually be that much of a surprise, really, if he does make his way through the field. But certainly with the pace in the sector times he was showing, he was definitely threatening a low 23, potentially even a 22. Didn't quite see the 22.
Just to let you know, John, I'm just going to head to the stewarding room for the start of this race. And then I will reappear after the first couple of laps are over.
Superb. Well, fingers crossed you get to get your feet up, sit there with a cup of tea and not actually do anything until you join us again. But we will we'll see you back soon. So there goes Simon into the stewards box. Thank you for the follow. Leprechaunenva. I'm probably pronouncing that far too basically. Leprechaunenva. Hopefully that's close, but thank you for the follow. Welcome to SOP. It is round 6 of 7, season number 3, the British GT, GT3 and GT4 cars, 2 drivers per car, 2 hours to race. The Connection Lost Racing will lead us off the grid, unbelievably close between themselves. And Zach Duran in the Porsche, Daly as well, and Darryl Young putting in phenomenal times. Ilko Busing down into 6th position for the Rookie Monsters, but it is a 2-hour race, and we're about to see the green lights to kick us off. Foot down, flat out, and away they go straight into turn number 1. It's a good start by the Vivid Global Racing team in the background by Jordan Daly. Wild Things Racing going outside, a little bit of contact there, almost a 3-wide situation between Vivid Global, Ilko Busing and the SOP team. Connection Lost Racing not losing connection with that top spot, and Ilko Busing trying to go round the outside. In fact, he's almost got the move done there on Zach Duran in the GT4s, all very clean. And in fact, Matthias Sarapah has lost the lead of the race. So let's jump back on board and watch that straight from the start. Oh, not a good getaway by the F1 Memes team in the McLaren. In the second phase acceleration, they did get a bit more speed, but the Aston behind them slowed up ever so slightly. But turn number 1 And yeah, instantly, job done straight off the start line. The Genetic gets that one done, and it's Saran Pa finds himself in second place very early on. So he's got a race on his hands going forward. Christian Ekman can see all the action in front of him. Amir Kashikaras for the RAN racing team can see a solid 2x2 in front of us. Oliver Jewig in the McLaren. Oh, and he's lost a bit of momentum there. He's going to lose out to the F1 Memes team. No, he's not. James Rollins looking to put a move on Ilko Busek to get 7th position taken. Jewig now. Yeah, that's Rollins ahead of him. Busek now separating the two of them. Misha Filipiak, the car just ahead of them as they complete lap number 1. The two Porsches going side by side potentially into turn number 1. Busek holds on to the position. Rollins potentially looking for a cutback. He's bumper to bumper as they come down the hill, and Oliver Jewig watching this one intently. As you can see, this battle carry on into turn number 2. Already up at the front, Martin Larenc doing exactly what he's done all season. He's got an 8/10 of a gap already over Zach Duran. Zach Duran, no such luck for him. As you can see, the Race Ventura McLaren right up his rear spoiler through this double apex left-hander almost. That corner has been my undoing more times than I care to mention. Down Pilgrim's Drop, Zach Duran being chased by the McLaren. The McLaren being chased by the Aston of Young as well. And the Wild Things there loitering in the background with intent. And Zach Duran right out on that Kerbin. Can just about see Larenc ahead of him. Oh, you can't see Larenc ahead of him. Just obscured view from that camera angle. Let's go for that one. So the end of lap number 2. Down in the GT4s as well, Christoph Verstappen still leading the way, and he's got Saran Pa, pole sitter, hunting him down. Verstappen, of course, guiding the car that's currently leading the GT4 Championship. Started in second, wasted no time in turn 1, getting the car planted firmly into the top spot, and he's not looking back at the moment. We've got Darrell Young, who might need to start looking back. That McLaren in the background with the Vivid Global, Hajo Horman. Good qualifying session again. Managed to get ahead of his teammate Jewig. And in fact, Busek all over Filipiak as well. Let's check on Darrell Young still though and see how he's getting on. Trying to catch up to Daly. Zach Duran still within 8/10 of Martin Larenc. And we're going to see the penalties that are currently being handed out. This is part of the success ballast, as I was saying. If you finish first, second or third, first place gets 20 seconds in the pits for the next round. Second, you get 15. Third, you get 10. So Rosenthal and the F1 Memes team, they finished first in the last race. Larenc and Connection Lost finished second. And Wild Things Racing, of course, finished third. So that's a GT3 lap penalties, pit stop ballast handed out. Sorry, I'm trying not to say penalties here because I suppose there are penalties, but it's more a prize. Congratulations, you get to stay stationary in the pits for that a little bit longer. And then now the GT4 penalties being handed out. Verstappen doesn't look like it's going to make a blind bit of difference to him, but 20-second penalty has been added. He's 7/10 ahead of Saran Pa already. Saran Pa's got one of the GT3s just about to make his way past. Kadzeli for Simulation Eastward down at the back of the grid there with that 10-second penalty. That should go up again to 15. Oh no, because we're missing one of the GT4 cars. So there won't be anyone in the GT4 class with a 15-second penalty. Martin Larenc wasting no time. That's a 1:24.0. That's about 2.5 seconds quicker than I've ever gone around this track, and he's doing it on a full tank of fuel. Phenomenal stuff. Yes. Looking good ahead of Duran. Of course, at 15 seconds, is going to play right into the hands of Duran and Daly. And Daly as well with that extra cushion, knowing that Young has got that 10 seconds behind him. Horman still just a second down the road with Filipiak doing all the defending work in the BMW. He's got Ilko Busek for the Rookie Monsters in the Porsche chasing him down. They've got 3 seconds back to Oliver Jewig. Qualified very close to his teammate, running now in 8th place with Amir Kashikaras for the Iran racing team in the Aston, trying to close in there. James Rollins, like we say, was showing some great deltas in qualifying. Hasn't had the opening to the race he would have wanted. Involved in a couple of little battles. He's currently running in 10th place. 125 in that last lap. Then Sven Corving for the NOV2 Motorsports BGT. He's in 11th, back ahead of Ekman, that just out-qualified them right at the end of quali. They've got that move redone. And Mikael Rosenthal for the F1 Memes team. Bogged down a bit at the start. Not a great start for the team that won the last race. That 20 seconds, extra 20 seconds in the pit is going to be an absolute lifetime, given how far down the grid they are. SF Sim Racing, well, hello. How are you? Welcome in, welcome in. Hopefully you're enjoying the race so far. The lead in the GT4s has already changed hands. The championship leader is once again leading the way, and it's the same in the GT3s, although the GT3s, Laurent did take pole position and held on to it from there. 3,500 separating these two off the start finish off the qualifying times. I'm really tripping over my words today. I have no idea what is going on. I've maybe put my false teeth in upside down. Darrell Young making his first appearance in the series for the Wild Things. You've got that 10 seconds success ballast from the last round, from finishing third. That is a long straightaway there into the left-hander. He's really letting Daly know that he's looking for a trip back onto the podium. Daly, though, with the way the penalties are working, he doesn't actually have to do too much defending. Realistically, he could let Young through and just follow through in a slipstream lap after lap. That 10 seconds in the penalty certainly looks like it's going to be a massive deciding factor in the race today, given the top 11 separated by 9 tenths. Oh, there we go. Okay, so that's at least working. It's Misha Filippi. I can see him and Ilko Busing looking to go side by side. Hopefully it's working out. It's Busing hanging on to that 6th position then. In fact, sorry, yeah, he's just got that overtake done. Oh, and there is penalties being handed out. Actually, car number 7, Juvik, for causing a collision. So he's going to be spending an extra 10 seconds in the pits. That is Busing. Very nice overtake done there. This is working again, thank goodness. Technology is a wonderful thing. Down Pilgrim's Drop. Busing in 6th place, got Daly ahead of him. Daly now behind Hajo Horman. So this is him still in 3rd place. So down. Yeah, so down on the Graham Hill Bend, everything seems fine. On to the Cooper Straight. Oh, in the back of the car, just lets go. Yeah, he does. So on to the Cooper Straight, the back of the car. Those rear tyres did not want to grip, and that's seen Jordan Daly drop a couple of positions. Darrell Young gifted a position back on the podium. Hajo Horman for Vivid Global Racing after a solid qualifying finds himself up in 4th place. Jordan Daly for the Race Ventura team now in 5th, and Ilko Busing will certainly be revitalised in his charge. Really does get those 2 tyres out onto the grass and onto the gravel. So yeah, interesting stuff happening there. The GT4s as well. Saran Pa finished in pole, finished in pole position in qualifying, was quickly overtaken by Verstappen into turn number 1. Certainly hasn't let go of the race leader. With that 20-second ballast for in the pit stops, Verstappen really is up against it here to try and capture a race win, given how close Santa Pass still is. 7 laps in, still within half a second. The BMW looking very planted, running slightly deep there, but still a good exit as Verstappen pulls away ever so slightly. At this stage though, could well play into Verstappen's hands. Even with that 20-second ballast, he could still be looking to finish 4th, which means they'll start the last race with no ballast in the pits. And clearly they've got pace to run the race from the front. If they can get to the last race with no ballast, then yeah, that would be absolutely game on. Darrell Young looking to make it game on with Zach Duran ahead of him. He's been freed of the battle that was ahead and behind. Now that we've seen.
We are back.
Hey Simon, how we doing?
All good, yes, all good.
Excellent.
Wasn't any lap 1 incidents, which is very nice to see, although there were a couple of lap 2 incidents which saw instant penalties handed out. The
car 70,
number 70, yes, they rear-ended the 405 of James Rawlins, heading down into turn number 3. So that was a push to pass move, and they were handed a 10-second penalty for that. And then the number 47, who already had a 20-second success penalty for the win last time out, they were also handed a further 10 seconds for another push to pass, but on one of the GT4s. So that's why we're seeing Kazzalia, the number 4, down near the rear of the field of the GT4s, was because the number 47 and the number 70 had a little bit of a spin together, and the number 47 dropped to the rear of the field, and so when they were fighting back through the GT4 pack, they ended up rear-ending the number 4 of the Simulation Esports, and that's where the extra 10 seconds has come from them.
So this definitely a round to forget then for the F1 memes team at the back. They're getting a 30-second extra deficit to spend in the pits. And that, yeah, very quickly, one of the GT4 cars, beautifully done. Just for anyone that is new to multi-class racing, the rules are very simple. The GT4 cars have priority, the most important cars on the track, and that is the way it remains. They have license to remain on the racing line. It is the GT3's responsibility. Just like in any overtaking in any motorsport, it is the overtaking car's responsibility to make it clean and safe pass, and especially in multi-class racing. So GT4s don't jump off the driving line or any of that stuff. They just run their race, and the GT3s and the extra pace will breeze on past. So any infractions to that by the GT3s will be punished, as well with the GT4s. We do just ask them to remain predictable, but especially you've got the priority, so it should. And we're having, to be fair, Simon, over the season, there was maybe a couple of issues in race 1, but over the season we certainly haven't had many issues, if any at all, between the GT3s and the GT4s.
No, that's right. It's been a rather successful British GT Championships with this multi-class. Been rather fantastic racecraft and sportsmanship between them both. They've both given each other plenty of space on track when they need to lap or unlap themselves. And yeah, it's been fantastic because championship battles haven't been affected by the different classes on track together, which is nice to see.
I know there would be nothing worse than a 6-hour endurance race and the GT3 leader that gets taken out by a GT4 car on the lap. That would be disastrous. Duwig and the gang, you can see just making their way past the GT4s. And that is, sorry, just how close they are. They're Filipiak now back ahead of Horman and Busing. Busing in the fourth, now down to 7th position. Dewey for Vivid Global Racing. The McLaren really coming to life now. Had a slow start to the race, we're 15 minutes in. He's definitely picking up the pace. Darrell Young as well. He is absolutely matching pace with Zach Duran in that Porsche. They now find themselves 3.5 seconds adrift of Martin Larenc. So it wasn't too long ago that Duran was only half a second or so behind Larenc. Now that gap up to 3.5 seconds. Still ridiculously close with this gang of cars in here. Ilko Busek tucked right in the middle there. Hajo Horman, the driver just ahead. He's trying to chase down the BMW of Simulation Esports, currently guided by Misha Filipiak. You see just over his spoiler just how much action is coming his way, and he's got GT4s ahead of him. And it's safe to say, Simon, that the upper echelons of the driving community, not clowns like me, but there's some of the GT4 drivers that have done multi-class racing before. A lot of them, you'll find that they actually welcome having multi-class, because you can actually use the GT4s to craft yourself out with cheeky little overtake here and there. So a lot of the times it can be more helpful for some of the GT drivers, rather than being a hindrance having the seemingly slower cars out on track at the same time.
Yeah, well, just depends on where they seem to catch them on the lap, and whether they can get the move done before a prominent spot on the circuit that'll then hinder their competitors that are trying to take the spots away from them. As Darrell Young was getting all squiggly then as his car bounced over the curbs. He needs to be careful, because he could find himself in a wall if he's too erratic on those curbs. He's just dropped a second now behind Zach Duran, and that'll be a welcome bit of breathing space, because there's nothing worse than trying to run your own race but also trying to defend from somebody else behind. And that was working in Larenc's favour, to be honest, because like that clean air is so important, and because he's got that, he's able to stretch the lead. We'll see if Zach Duran will be able to close back up on Larenc now that he's not being hustled by Mr. Young just behind him.
Indeed, yeah. We'll see if Young can close back up. Putting in a great performance, making his debut here in this series for Wild Things Racing. That almost eluded me there. No, that was just a bit naked on this. Seeing the sparks kicking up down turn. Love turn number 1. If you're ever into sim racing, I know that Brands Hatch can be a very, very difficult track. It's so easy to get turn 1 wrong, because you put a good lap, you cross the line, and you think, oh yeah, I've done well, and you're already doing well. But honestly, turn 1, the exit to turn 1, when the road just dips and it pulls your steering wheel, phenomenal. And then you get to this corner here, Surtees, straight into the wall. You remember why you don't like Brands Hatch, and you go back to Kyalami. Hajo Horman closing in on Misha Filipiak, then 5th place at the moment for the Simulation Esports cars. And all these drivers will be keenly aware of the amount of penalties that the drivers ahead have got. They're currently at the moment, if Darrell Young took his pit stop, he would pretty much be coming back out just behind Ilko Busink, with just over a 10-second gap there. Zach Duran. Well, I'll tell you what, actually, Darrell Young, just looking at that time and go properly, in fact, is he ahead? No, Darrell Young, but he has caught right back up again. He's wasted absolutely no time whatsoever, and that is the Porsche of Zach Duran directly in front of him again. So despite that little mistake, he's wasted no time whatsoever in getting caught back up. The three drivers up at the front, their lap times all very, very close. Larenc half a second quicker than these two in the last lap, but the quickest lap set by all three of these cars, all 1 minute 23s, and only 3 cars to be lapping in such a low time. And in fact, Darrell Young just set a personal best fastest lap and did another 1 minute 23 on that last lap. So around this track, Simon, you're obviously a team manager. You're pretty good at your strategies, it has to be said, as much as it pays me not looking. Around Brands Hatch, which car, theoretically speaking, is the best? Or is it the fact that it's such a short, twisty course doesn't really give much advantage to any car? It's more about the driver.
Do you know what? I don't actually know anymore, to be honest. McLaren has always been very strong here. Porsche is strong here. BMW is strong here. So as long as you've got the right driver behind one of those cars, you should be pretty much on for a good result. I know that some cars are really bad here, like the Audi, for example. That is not one of its favourite circuits, but I don't think we actually have any Audis on the grid, do we?
No.
So there's no problem with that happening.
I think the Honda would be hard work around here as well, if I'm going to be honest. I think, yeah, once those tyres drop off, yeah, Honda not the car you want to be in. Marky Marks and James Rollins are in the chat. They've been lagging. We're lagging hard, pray for no disconnection. Had to pull over. Yeah, James is having a problem with his connection. Actually, James, now that you're in the chat, can I ask you a quick question, please? Thank you. If the timing deltas all showed you were on for a 1 minute 23.1, if not slightly lower than that, did you invalidate your lap on the last corner? Or was it just you on and out lap? And I was just thinking, oh, look at this going side by side, and Hajo Horman's not wasting any time whatsoever. He's been patient for the last 4 laps. He's got a beautiful move done. He's going to be followed through by Ilko Busing, and Oliver Zubig's going to have a look around the outside as well, potentially, with the door closed by Filipiak. So towards Clark Curve, it's Hajo Horman got that move done absolutely stunningly. Let's have another look at that. Oh, we're a bit. There's a little bit of door banging, in fact, on the straightaway. Not the best. More than enough room left by the BMW. He's right out on that curve. The Porsche really did have the both of them there. A bit of a lift to avoid contact for Ilko Busing, and the McLaren makes his way through. Oh, a bit of understeer from the BMW. Saw him on the grass. He couldn't get the power down again. Wiggle from the Porsche on the exit to the corner before Clark Curve. Stirling's, I think. Yeah, but he had a bit of a wiggle on the exit anyway. So it's all changed there. Phenomenal stuff, Simon. Vivid Global Racing at the start of the race were 7th and 8th. They're now 5th and 8th. They've got Busing and Filipiak. Sam was there in the middle. And up at the front, Darrell Young all over the back of Zach Duran. Once again, the GT4s are doing their thing. They're pretty spread out at the moment, but the GT3s are certainly keeping this close right through the pack.
Yeah, it seems to be that Darrell Young definitely has the pace over Zach Duran, but there's just not the opportunity to make an overtaking pass. It's definitely got the straight line speed advantage, but there really isn't too much of a straight here at Brands Hatch, and so the Porsche is just able to maintain the place because it's got the superior cornering performance, and so they're bumper to bumper, and unless Darrell Young can really force a move, he's going to be stuck behind Duran for the remainder of this race, because he's also got that 10-second penalty to serve in the pit stops. This has only fallen into the favour of Lorenc, who's able to just pull that gap even further ahead. He's now almost 6 seconds to the good, and he just needs to find another 9 seconds in 35 minutes, and that will be him clear to come back out in the race lead. We'll see if that can be done.
Yeah, certainly, as you're saying, the Duran-Young battle that we're currently watching, that'll certainly be aiding Lorenc's quest to get that 15 seconds that he needs to find. Still unbelievably close with Horman, Busing, Filipiak and Jubig there. Jordan Daly in a bit of no man's land at the moment, but he'll be more than happy where he is if he can keep to within 10 seconds of Young as well. He knows there's a potential podium on the cards for him, although 8 seconds back at the moment. He'll be praying that the battle ahead continues for as long as possible. 34 minutes left to go. We've seen the majority of the teams that do a straight 1 hour split. There's no point in carrying too much weight in the car by trying to go that little bit longer. And that's usually how it goes. Let's see, Busink within a 10th here, getting very close. Okay, they were just making their way past the F1 memes GT4 car. The GT4s is still being led by Verstappen. Apologies for the lack of camera time for these guys. The battling up at the front has been insane. He's carrying that 20-second penalty, which means that Saran Pavel only 1.6 seconds back. Is absolutely on for the race win. Oh, Rosenthal, another penalty. Terence Keenan is out for the NM Racing team. Although he is an SOP driver, so I'm assuming he's just not got the correct livery on. No. Who does Terence Keenan drive for? Is it SOP or Eclipse Racing?
Eclipse Racing.
Eclipse Racing. That's the one. And there is the race leader go flying past. So he's in 3rd place at the moment, but he is at just within 20 seconds of Verstappen. So if he could pick up the pace ever so slightly over the next 33 minutes, will at least bring him level with Verstappen when they come out of the pits. And then, as we're seeing up at the front, getting overtakes done on this. And that is 2 stationary cars. Let's have a look and see what has transpired. So that's quite a big gap between the two of them, actually, considering how close it was the last time I had a look. Young certainly been closing in. Okay, and he was right out on the grass here, so that's 4 tyres on the grass. It's not always going to give you the best grip through the next corner section. He did handle it magnificently though. Kept the car running. I'm really curious as to what's going on here. Into Clark Curve. We're going to come past the pit entrance. Both cars absolutely fine and settled. There is a GT4 ahead of them, but given the position of the cars, it's unlikely that had any effect. Into turn number 1, the Porsche on the inside curve. Ooh, right, okay, he was right out on the gravel there. Would not have had a lot of grip. But Aston, having a look up the inside. Duran moved over to close the door and took an Aston Martin in the rear end. But he is now ahead of Young once again, so I wonder. Yeah, there we go. So visual confirmation then. The Wild Things car, of course, just like driving on the real roads. If you rear end someone, especially in the braking zone, then the liability does kind of automatically fall on your shoulders. The Wild Things Racing team recognising that, and Young giving the position back. Which, quite frankly, for us is phenomenal, because it means the two of them are going to start battling again until they get to the next pit stop. So great display of sportsmanship from the two. It's been a great race between the two of them, and it's good to see after that little contact. Young giving the position back. Overall, it hasn't massively affected him. It has just one more thing that has absolutely played into the hands of Martin Larenc. That's going to have stretched that gap to him quite massively. Oh, Jordan Daly. Wow, Jordan Daly. Clean up on aisle 3. That was through Westfield. No, it wasn't. It was Stirling's. That was a big, big slide on exit. I was just about to say, he could be another massive beneficiary here. Larenc now 12 seconds ahead. So he's already massively increased that gap. What's just happened between Duran and Young. And Daly down to 4.4 seconds. That would have been a lot closer if it wasn't for that slide that he just had in the middle of the lap. So yeah, Brands Hatch, it's a cruel mistress, Simon. I mean, it's a fun track when you get it right. You genuinely feel like you're actually properly driving. Let's face it, this thing keeps you connected. But there is just so many places where it is so easy to get it so wrong.
Yeah, I think teams that are masters of patience will definitely benefit the most. Patience with throttle application, patience with overtaking the GT4s if they're a GT3 team, patience trying to make a move if they're battling for position. those are the 3 key areas for success here, because the moment you get a tyre on the grass or gravel, it could spell misery. And well, we saw numerous of times already in this race from teams picking up penalties, trying to overtake GT4s, teams causing collisions just because they're too patient, trying to get a move done when the move wasn't really on. And so this is why we're seeing the teams like Daly and Holman in the McLarens, they're now closing up onto a podium position, because Darrell Young and Zach Duran come to blows, and that's now going to affect whether they can finish on a podium position, because especially for Darrell Young, he's got that 10 seconds, and as things stand, he's going to lose a whole lot of places. Well, the 3 teams that are behind him, he's going to lose positions to all 3 of those teams, where before the incident they were clear of those teams. And so again, just goes back to being patient when you're trying to get a move done. He could have popped back out of the pit stops in 3rd place, and then the Wild Things racing machine could have used the second half of this race, the final hour of this race, to get the move done on the 117 Porsche, as the GT4 just gets in the way of that battle. And it's been fantastic watching these go for round 2, round 3 and round 4, it seems, all in this first 30 minutes. We're still riding on board. The Porsche seems to be a bit... You were on mute, yeah.
I was on mute, yes. So I've jumped on board with the replay. I was just saying at the start of the stream, some of the best drivers will know how to use the GT4s to their advantage to get an overtake done. The GT4 stayed on the inside line, so the Porsche will go around the outside. But look at the exit that the Aston Martin gets. He gets a run, he slots up the inside, but the Porsche knows there's no place really for him to go, because the GT4 has got to stay on the racing line. He's going to pull the inside. Aston tries to go round the outside, almost catches the Ginetta. The Porsche holds the inside line, comes to the inside. The Ginetta moves over a bit much, comes straight back on, back up the inside as the Aston Martin goes round the outside. Down the hill, it's Zach Duran that hangs on to 2nd position for the meantime. And seconds out, round 11 between the Porsche and the Aston. And Martin Larenc, very happy man at this point. Jordan Daly, very happy driver at this point as well. That gap dropping a bit as well. And Mirka Siegrist also closing it on Misha Filipiak, who now finds himself down behind Oliver Zewig. That drop in position, won't catch that on a replay because it was a while back. But with all that has been going on, and also there is Ilko Busink and Hajo Horman making their way through. The top 2 in the GT4s still separated by half a second then, and it's a great exit out of Stirling for the BMW as he chases the Ginetta once again. I tell you, over the start-finish line, there's Rosenthal in the pits. Another penalty being added there for contact. So that's a 40-second stop that they've got. The BMW just not got it in a straight line against the Ginetta there. The Vivid Global Racing, that's Oliver Zewig in the background. Let's see. Oh, Zach Duran has been overtaken again. Let's jump back and see what's happened here then. So we're into the middle of that through Westfield. Oh, and he's out on that grass again, and Aston Martin, very easy move in the end. What a bit of a move over there to avoid the curves, a little bit of contact on the straight, but Aston Martin does keep his nose in front. He's got the inside line, and Clarkson will have the exit as well. The Porsche fighting right back on the exit, not quite enough acceleration, too much centrifugal force from the corner and on the inside line. And the Aston Martin does finally get that move done. Several patient laps have passed. Now with these two battling, can Duran now hang with the Aston? And we'll certainly find out. Will Darrell Young make any inroads on Martin Larenc's time? They've got about an hour and 20 minutes left to go, so there's 20 minutes left before the halfway mark, and we should see some of the teams making their way into the pits. Rosenthal on his way back out, so that's the first mandatory we've seen. Hour and 24 minutes. That's going to be quite the stint. Won't be much tyres left at the end for Goncharak. Zach Duran still within 0.2 of a second then. So no clean breakaway straight away for the Aston Martin. And Amir Kashikash now all over the back of Misha Filipiak, getting that to well within the second mark at the moment. Zach Duran still within half a second of Darrell Young, only this time it is Young leading the way. There is Daly in the background as well, with all this has been going on between Young and Duran. I did say that Daly and Larenk were the two main beneficiaries. The gap between Daly and Duran is halved in the last few laps since all the overtakings have been going on. So he's definitely bringing himself right into podium contention with that 15-second penalty that Young has got. Martin Larenk, lap after lap, he is consistently putting them in. 1 minute 24.1, 1 minute 24.5 on his last lap. He's got an 18-second gap back to Young. With that 15-second penalty that he's going to serve, that means he's going to get out ahead of Young. Young's going to serve a penalty as well. But Larenk's definitely going to get back out ahead of him, and he is going to get ahead of Duran as well, given that Duran is behind Young. Young, Daly, Horman, Busink, Dewig, all at the moment going to get past Young when he comes out of the pit. So he really does need a monster end to this stint, and a worldie of a second stint from his teammate. 22 minutes until we're likely to see his teammate emerge. Like I say, most of the teams have been going for a straight half and half strategy, 1 hour per driver. We'll see if that trend.
Just to touch on, actually, the 47 won't be able to go to the end of the race. They come back out the pits with 1 hour and 25 minutes to go. That is definitely far too long for any fuel tank to get to the end of the race.
So they're going to be back in. What's a good... Maxim Monkey, thank you for the question, chat. What's a good car at Zandvoort? Just so that you know, look at Tavanari. It doesn't matter which track you ask, he will say the Porsche. In fact, look at what's a good car for doing donuts. Or just ask him what's a good car. The answer's always going to be yes. See? So they've got Porsche. Kailami. What's a good car at Kailami? He's going to say the Porsche. Go on, just to be a meme, he's going to say the Porsche. Yeah, Maxim Monkey. Thank you for jumping in. And we have Toxoff. 22, thank you for the follow as well. How is look at Porsche no matter the type? What about the Ferrari look at? I thought you and I had something. Where is your teammate getting on? Love you, Luca. Good to see you in the chat, mate. Cheers for popping in. Your teammate at the moment has been involved in some great battles in the afore much mentioned Porsche. Doing well at the moment. Sam is between the vivid global cars of Horman and Zubik. Zubik up in the 7th position. Misha Filipiak falling right off this battle then. He's just made his way past some GT4s as well. He's still got Amir Kashikash hunting him down. Zach Duran and Darrell Young seeing a bit of separation now, 1.2 seconds. The biggest gap we've seen between these two for quite some time. Sarin Pat and Verstappen. They have Corvig for the NOV2 team just making his way through in the Aston. But these two are still separated by nothing but half a second. So now the GT3s are done battling, Simon. It looks like the GT4 leaders have decided they need a bit of camera time. And Sarin Pat, that took pole position, he is really bringing the fight to Verstappen and the McLeod Racing team, who are leading the oh, and he's just run wide as I'm saying that, and Sarin Pat's going to go up the inside. He's going to the outside line into Stirling's. It's going to be the Ginetta on the inside curve, the BMW on the outside curve, and he's got his nose in front into Clark's curve. Yes, he does, but we've got the Ekman McLaren looking to come through. Oh, he's got the full car in front on the exit of Clark curve past the pit entrance. 1 hour 19 minutes left to go. and the BMW has done exactly what I was suggesting he was threatening to do, Simon. And after some phenomenal racing, the GT3, the GT4s have stepped up and said, yep, we're still here too. BMW in the lead, championship leader with 22nd ballast in second place.
Yeah, and to be honest, I was about to comment on Saren Parr because he's just been sitting patiently, again, the word patience comes to mind, he's just been sitting patiently behind Verstappen this entire race since he lost the lead at the beginning, because he knows the 41 machine's got 20 seconds to serve in the pit stops. So in his mind, he's probably thinking, they've got this one in the bag, they've won the race, they don't need to do anything drastic, they can just sit behind the 41 Ginetta, they know they're going to come out of the pits 20 seconds ahead, and they can cruise themselves to victory. But as we just saw, the 41 machine made a mistake, and that's just allowed Saren Parr through anyway. So not only is he going to lose 20 seconds in the pit stop, he's just lost the lead, and it looks like the BMWs in both classes are marching on to what should be a double BMW podium for the victors.
Indeed it should be. Back to the GT3 battles, Amir Kashikhtarash. Yeah, the curious case of Misha Filipiak had a great start to the race, was involved in the battles with Horman, Busick and Dewig. He's now dropped right off the back of there. He's got Amir Kashikhtarash, was very close on lap 24, I think it was. Then they came into some GT4 traffic, calmly made their way through, and they've now resolved this battle. But Kashikhtarash in that Aston Martin, definitely looking the quicker of the two. As they make their way down Pilgrim's Drop, the Aston Martin hunting down that BMW. Hey, Wiz Motorsport, how you doing, bud? Listen, congratulations. I have to say, Wiz Motorsport and the gang ran a charity race yesterday for Mindwise, an unbelievably worthy mental health charity. And before the first accelerator was even pressed, qualifying hadn't even started. The total was at 500 quid, and when I checked it today, it was just over £1,300. So phenomenal stuff. And yeah, big shout out to all the sponsors that chucked in prizes for them as well. But yeah, Raf, great race, great event, and unbelievable total, mate. And yeah, happy to see that it's still being filled. Yeah, so well done to you and the gang. As I am not watching Kashikhtarash there, but Verstappen maybe not too keen on giving up this race lead. He's all, oh, and there's Martin Lereng giving a big decision there. There was no room for him to go. Obviously, it is easier if the GT4s do stay on the racing line, but if they are battling for the lead of the leading class, it can make it a bit trickier to get through. Lereng does make his way through. Those shouldn't have affected his time too much. He was at 18 seconds. 15 seconds is all that he needed. Kashikhtarash all over the back of Filipiak still. 16 minutes to go. Is he going to get an overtake done before they come into the pits? Could well be. Verstappen, even he's got that 20-second, he knows he's going to lose some positions. He knows he can't afford to lose any time at all. Saren Parr, absolutely odds-on favourite for the win here. That 20 seconds that Verstappen's going to serve is going to separate these two hugely, and you can see by the pace that they're both lapping at their quickest race laps so far are almost identical. 1 minute 32.495 for Saren Parr. Verstappen at 132.402. So less than a tenth. Only's having a look up the inside. Thought about that curb in on Stirling's. Almost a bump draft on the exit. The BMW has got a decision to make. Not the widest track in the world, but then not the widest cars in the world, the GT4s. Plenty of room for them to pass on the exit. Again, look at the Ginetta, get that power down. The BMW taking the inside line. He's going to drift across slowly to the left, give the decision to the Ginetta driver. If you want this, you're going to have to go around the outside. Opens up the corner beautifully, gets a good run down the hill, and they are going to be side by side as they make their way into turn number 2. And what a move by the Ginetta, but the BMW saw it coming, gets the cut back straight away. Oh, onto the Cooper straight. They're side by side, and the Ginetta back in front. Just phenomenal battle for the lead of the race. This is the championship leader now back in the lead in into Surtees. Did he have a wiggle on the back, or was that just net code? Sometimes the shadows pop in and out. It depends on how far away the camera is. But down Pilgrim stop, the BMW is going to come straight back round the outside. The Ginetta's going to have to hold that inside line. Look at the pace he's got from the slipstream. Heavy on the brakes as he knows he doesn't have the aerodynamic grip that a GT3 might. Holds that line beautifully, though it's still the Ginetta holding on to the lead. He is, of course, going to lose it when he comes into the pits. As I've said, it doesn't mean he can't put up an absolutely epic fight to hold on to the lead of the race for as long as he can. And that's exactly what he's doing. This is amazing stuff, Simon. I've driven GT4, Simon. These things are not easy to drive. This is incredible stuff between these two. As Lucas just said, a very hard and fair battle between them.
Yeah, an absolutely fantastic battle to see in the GT4 class. And this is why Verstappen, his teammate, and the 41 are the championship leaders. Perfectly executed move to retake the lead in this one, and you know they're not happy sitting behind that 230 BMW because they've got that 20-second deficit. Now they're going to try and pull some breathing space between themselves and Serenpar, because they got to be careful actually of Keenan in the 40 Ginetta behind. They're only they're 23 seconds behind now. If that gap comes down any more, they're going to be under pressure from losing out not only on the win but even second place. So Verstappen definitely doesn't want to have to battle for too much longer with Serenpar in this one. Otherwise they're both just going to be trading times and losing time to Keenan in third.
Yeah, they certainly are. Yeah, Luca, I'm glad you appreciate it. That was absolutely purely just for you there, bud. No, but enjoyed the sound of that Porsche. I hate using chase cam. But yeah, the posters sound not bad. In lieu of a Ferrari, anyway. But Laurent, he is leading the way. I'm just waiting on an update on his actual time. But yeah, as you say, Simon, the will to win it. It's just a different class with some of these drivers up at the front of the field. I know they've got the 20-second penalty anyway, but it doesn't stop them trying to get as much time as they can and bring home as good a result as possible. But it does kind of work in their favour, because the way it stands at the moment, they are going to come back out potentially in about 4th place. I think, yeah, Kidzelia and Kildashev having those penalties mean they're pretty much guaranteed 4th. So they're going to start the last race with the championship lead and no penalty in the... no penalty, no success penalty added, obviously, because they're going to finish outside the podium. So,
Who, sorry?
Verstappen, McLeod Racing.
No, they've still got 3 seconds to the good at the minute from Keenan in 3rd place.
Oh, are they?
Yes, yeah. They're 23 seconds in the lead of the GT4s. But what I was just alluding to is the fact that Verstappen and Serenpar were doing some major overtaking with each other, which was definitely costing them time. They didn't want to be doing that for too much longer, otherwise, yeah, Verstappen would be coming into the clutches of Keenan and possibly losing out on the win and even 2nd place. So he's just got to put in some killer laps now in the final 10 minutes before they stop. If they're even choosing to stop in the next 10 minutes, because the GT4 can pretty much go an hour and 45 before they need to come into the pits with the size of their fuel tank and how much fuel they use and all that extra strategy stuff. But I mean, the quickest way around Brands Hatch surely in a 2-hour race is coming in after 60 minutes to put fresh rubber on. We'll see if that happens with these top 2 now, who are, well, now there's a bit of breathing space between themselves. They can just focus on their strategy rather than each other.
Yes, I can. I was just watching Busing there. He's definitely keeping Horman on his toes. And at some point while the GT4s were battling, a Mirka seat crash did get the overtake done on Misha Filipiak. Filipiak still within slipstream range, just about on the Cooper suit, although a good exit there by the Aston. Gets that one done nicely. But yeah, nice move by the Iran racing team. We missed that one on the stream, but they are up a position. And Filipiak, again, the curious case of Misha Filipiak. Very quick driver. It's unusual to see him drop down the order like this. Like I say, he was battling up there for 5th position with Horman, Busink and Zhuig. And yeah, now finds himself down in 9th. Oh, Zach Duran into the pits then. Going for the undercut. An hour and 8 minutes left on the clock. There's Daly already made his way through. Of course, the penalties from Young and Larenk. Going to play a small part in Duran's return. More so the Darrell Young penalty, of course. He was well within the 15 seconds there. Larenk 20 seconds to the good. Unbelievable lap times he's putting in at the moment. 1 minute 23.6, he's fastest of the race so far. And he's not showing any sign of letting up anytime soon. Busink's made it through there. He is into Surtees and down Pilgrim's Drop. So to Zhuig, Siktrish and Filipiak have all passed Duran. There's Xu Chen leaving the pits. Another unbelievably quick driver. So we'll see what the Porsche can do. And he's come out not far behind Ekman and Corving. So you'll be hoping that they come into the pits in the next, potentially, say, next 7 minutes.
Should do, yes.
Yeah, and then gets...
who's that off?
That's Ekman. That is the 216 McLaren, so that's that's not what he nor Chen would have been hoping for. And Chen dispatches him pretty quickly on the exit to Surtees and down Pilgrim's Drop. And yeah, the Porsche is going to have a run. There's the race leader right behind them. If we jump onto Martin Larenk's bonnet, he can actually see Duran, who came in right a bit inside. That'll be a blue flag for Larenk, of course. So yeah, that 20-second gap, so it just goes to show you how short a lap Brands Hatch actually is.
That's actually pretty crucial for Chen there to come out in front of Larenk, because you don't want to be coming out behind the race leader and losing a lap. You know, if you're stuck behind the race leader and the race leader has still got that pit stop in the bag, you know your race is definitely over then. So hopefully Chen can keep Larenk from putting an extra lap over the 117 Porsche. But I did wonder, I guess it hasn't happened, if the 117 was going to set off a bit of a chain reaction with drivers coming in to get their mandatory stop done a little bit earlier than usual. It hasn't happened, but I'm just wondering, because Chen was slowly dropping back behind Young, whether this outlap and these extra laps on the fresher rubber are going to be all the difference to retaking that second place and holding on to that second place. Obviously Young's got 15 seconds, but they were definitely the faster of the two cars, so we'll see if they can close that gap back up now in the final hour of the race.
Well,
obviously you did touch on as well, the rank is 20 seconds in the lead, so when Young 21 seconds now. When Young does come into the pits, Young is actually going to lose out to Daly, Horman and Busink as well. So he's going to drop down to at least 5th or 6th place. And it's going to be really interesting to see how Richard Pixley gets on, who's substituting for Ben Langford. See if he's got the type of pace to get that, or is it Darrell Young?
It's Young that substitute.
we'll see. Well,
Yeah.
if he's the substitute and he's been putting that type of performance in, that's pretty decent. We'll
It's
see how
Wild
Richard
Things Racing. You know what? There's teams out there like SOP, like Rookie Monsters, like RTO. They've got what football managers like to call strength in depth. You know what I mean? And they'll bring drivers over from another game. But yeah, we're just breaking it. It's only ever played iRacing ever before. Oh, okay, he popped on pole position. Yeah, great. Okay.
So we do see that quite a lot now, actually.
Yeah, so the crossover. So yeah, teams like Wild Things Racing, if they pop in a car and an unknown driver and he puts on pole position, no eyelids will be batted. Same like teams, as you say, like the Connection Lost Racing, Rookie Monsters, yeah, the Simulation Esports. You know what I mean? They used to dominate a lot of the events now. They start getting back up the sharp end of the grid. Would be absolutely no surprise whatsoever. Still watching Busink, Sarin Pa. Still doing his best to hang with Verstappen. He's within a second. Tavernar saying it's nice to have a lot of drivers from different games. Same as sharing endurance races with massive voice chats. Makes it much more enjoyable. Right, okay, even pushing the edge. Wonder about that, because I've watched a couple of streamers that like to do oval racing on iRacing. And yes, I watch it for the inevitable carnage. Sue me. But yeah, the voice chat, I often think to myself, that would be really, really, really off-putting. Because people do just sometimes just randomly out of nowhere scream down the microphone and think, if I'm mid-corner when that happens, I'm in the wall and off for a cup of tea before. So yeah, Headsock91, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to SOP. After a while, you just get used to it. Yeah, but look, you're an alien. You know what I mean? You probably like make lattes and things while you're driving and putting an Olympic level lap time. So if you're saying you get used to it, doesn't mean that us mere mortals can. That's for sure. 7/10 of a second. Now there's the gap separating the GT4s. Sarin Pa, as we fast approach the halfway mark, is effectively leading this race thanks to the success of the team ahead of him in the previous race. They are going to spend 20 seconds stationary, and when you read this, I mean, there's some clips of me on the internet that would suggest otherwise. I did get myself a bit upset at this very track, and there's another streamer that I do, a guy called Chad Rice. Check him out, Chadryce, student streamer, and he does shout outs, and a video pops up, and there's one of me using language which can only be described as extremely colourful, after I was taken out by the same driver twice in the space of 2 corners. He started spinning me in Druids. It was, yeah, started spinning me in Druids and then finished me off on the way to Graham Hill Bend. So Cooper Straight, I was sitting sideways facing the track and like 14 cars passed, so it wasn't a ropey lead on. But yeah, so I'm not sure the nice claims can be backed up with that circulating YouTube, I'm afraid. We are seeing some cars now coming into the pits. That's the GT4 battle that's still on screen. It's Corving coming in for the NOV2 team. And the Aston Martin, so that'll be their pit stop done. Chen out. He does have the race leader just ahead of him now. Oh yeah, that was the rant of all rants, my friend. I can assure you, that was a good one. Oh, and Young's come into the pits as well. So there we go. Young's come into the pits then. Daly makes his way through. He's going to be promoted to second until he comes in to the pits. But the Wild Things Racing, of course, with that 15 seconds, that's served. We've got car 37. Oh, Ilko. The Rookie Monsters car has been handed a penalty for causing a collision. Young down into 7th. Where is Chen? well, we know that Chen, I mean, realistically, unless he's had an absolute nightmare couple of laps, he should be ahead of the Wild Things car. In fact, there he is round the last corner. And there is Pixley moving now. So yeah, we knew it was going to be a big gap by virtue of that penalty from the last race. Well, not a penalty, it's a success penalty. If you finish on the podium, we give you extra time in the pits in the next race. That is Wild Things served theirs. So we'll see just what the damage is. These cars were only separated by a second or two when Chen's teammate came into the pits and handed him the reins. So once they get through Surtees, there is... Oh yeah, on the Cooper Straight we've got a timing. We've got a timing delta on the Cooper Straight. So Pix is 7.6 seconds. So that is not as big a gap as I was expecting. I was expecting closer to 10, if not potentially 11 or 12 seconds, given it was a straight 15-second penalty. So Chen potentially getting held up in traffic. He is behind the race leader, who's been blue flagged through. So yeah, it is game on for Pixley to chase down Chen. 8 seconds he has to make up. Zhuwig for Vivid Global Racing in the pits. So too Amir Kashiktaris for the Iran Racing team. Zhuwig in there as well. Misha Filipiak up to 5th. With all that going on. Oh, and Verstappen's come into the pits. And he is going to tumble down the order as well, as we know he's got that penalty to serve. It's Ulrich, there we go. Wow. And he has come back out in 2nd place then. Or has he? Where is Zagdal? Yeah, he has, and he is ahead of Zagdal for the NM Racing team. He's taken over. Oh, of course, that's Eclipse Racing, sorry. They just don't have the Eclipse car on, but that is the Eclipse Racing team, yes. So Zagdal then is out in 3rd place. Ulrich, despite serving the penalty, he's held on to 2nd. So it's all about Sarenpa. That penalty should be enough to see him bring home the race win. Or his teammate at least, because he is obviously going to have to come into the pits to take a stop. F1 Memes in the pits as well. Kildashev will hand over the reins. Larenk still leading the way comfortably then for the GT4s. Filipiak just comes into the pits. There's Chen just behind him. He will be praying that Larenk comes into the pits sooner rather than later. He's definitely hanging close. There's Waizi coming out. Ransbar coming out as well. Clark making his way out of the pits. Filipiak still in there. Pixley 10 seconds down on Chen, so that gap has stretched ever so slightly. The F1 Memes GT4, so Lotterev out in that car. Finding the race leader.
Chen might be good for 2nd place here, John, because he definitely seems to be faster than Pixley, who's taken over the number 10. And there was some extra penalties handed out for the cars who are just in front of Chen. So, you know, Busink in the 37th with the 10 seconds to serve in the pits. Horman and Daly are not too far ahead of them either. I think it should be a sure 2nd place for Mr. Chen in the 117. And I think we might have a battle on our hands for that 3rd place podium with Pixley in the number 10. He's going to find it hard to hold on to that 3rd place, I think. But it might not be a bad thing going into the final round with no success penalties to serve.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, depending on the results. Yeah, it could certainly be a blessing in disguise finishing 4th, getting some points this week, and a much better chance of a podium in that final round. The top 4 out on track. Still to come into the pits. Busink still behind Horman. He's got that 10 seconds to serve. And we can see Chen. You were talking about the pace of Chen versus Pixley. But look at the pace of Chen versus Larenk here at the moment. And he really is more than capable hanging with that BMW, but obviously blue flag situation, he needs to let the leader through. An hour and 6 minutes the BMW has been out on the track. Chen looking for that second place. What could... Yeah, I mean, this could work. If anything, if Larenk is the quicker of the two drivers, he'll certainly be more than happy keeping someone like Chen behind him, given that Chen is matching him for pace. As soon as Chen gets unleashed, when Larenk goes into the pits, we're going to see some very, very, very quick lap times from him, based on what we're seeing so far in his stint.
Yeah, you're right. I think we should actually see Larenk come in on this lap, perhaps. I don't think the top four will try and do another lap. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm definitely wrong. But I think, you know, pushing it to 70 minutes now is pretty much going to be at the maximum that these GT3s can do with their fuel tank. And also another thing is the tyre wear on Larenk's car is going to be far, far worse than what Chen is experiencing, and he's probably definitely being held up here now after getting blue flagged and letting Larenk through. The 117 is definitely losing time behind him when he could be making headway, like you said, into that leader's overall gap, which was 20 plus seconds before Larenk's even come into the stop. So this is something that's worked in the favour of Larenk, having the blue flags, because he could be racing the car who's going to be finishing directly behind him in second, or would have been challenging him for the race lead. So yeah, pulled a blinder really.
Yeah, it definitely brings an interesting dynamic to the closing stages of the race. Opel Busick still trying to find his way past Foreman. These two still out on track as well. Daly still lapping consistently at the moment in the race Ventura McLaren. Second place overall at the minute, but I have to agree with what Simon's saying. From what we're seeing on screen, despite coming back out the pits and having a fuller tank of fuel and thereby a heavier car, Chen is definitely matching pace with race leader Larenk, and is, by the looks of it at the moment, being held up a bit. There's a bit of
the 115 actually could be on for the final podium position. I reckon there's going to be a direct fight between the 115 and the number 10 for that final podium spot.
Alright, okay, between Pixley and Daly.
Whoever takes over from Daly.
Oh, yeah. I do know who that is. Edwards. There we go. I cheated. But it's fine.
That's it. Ted Edwards. Yeah.
Ted Edwards. It is indeed. Well, yeah, definitely not out with the realms of possibility from the pace that the teams have been showing. Strix DVE, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome in to SOP's Season 3 British GT Championship. We've got the 3s and the 4s out on track. It's the penultimate round. We're at Brands Hatch at Donington next week. We're currently just waiting. Now Larenk's in the pits. So Larenk is in the pits. Let's see what type of lap times that Chen can put in. Larenk's going to have that extra 15 seconds. Now what does Jordan Daly do here? He's just behind the F1 Memes GT4 car. Will he follow Larenk in? You would say he's going to have to, Simon. As you say, we're pushing the 70-minute mark here. They're going to be running on fumes, and the rubber on the tyres not exactly plentiful, but no, he doesn't. He stays out. So he stayed out. That bit of a surprise to me. I would have popped in.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah,
go in.
Busick's in as well.
Yep, the two McLarens, they're going to be pushing 70, 72 minutes, 73 minutes when they come into the pits, which should be at the end of this lap. I don't think it's the wrong strategy call, because they leave themselves exposed to these slower lap times now with the worn tyres, compared to the teams around them that are going to be on that fresh rubber for longer. So I do wonder if that's going to affect them in the long run in the second half of this race. But, you know, position is key also here. We've seen how hard it is to make an overtake. Daly and Holman, who were running first and second, they're, we think, possibly coming into the pits this lap. And when they do, they may hold position over Pixley, Wazy, Ranjbar, Ostracart, who's taken over the 313 simulation. They may just know something that we don't. As after all, we're in the commentary booth and they're on track, so...
A fair point, well made, good sir. This is very true. Yeah, Daly. Oh, and then he comes now then. So the Race Ventura team, I'm sure they'll be telling the fans they'll be back out on track as soon as possible, and if they're not, just wait longer. Sorry. So Daly into the pits. Horman takes the lead of the race for Vivid Global Racing with Mika Santanen back out of the pits. There we go, the GT4 leader has snuck into the pits and back out again. 15 seconds is the gap between the BMW and the Ginetta.
Laurent's back in.
What?
Laurent's back in. Why is he back in? He hasn't made his...
He didn't swap drivers.
No, they haven't. Oh, my word. We missed that one.
Yes, we did.
Well, this has shaken things up massively.
That's one way to avoid success ballast next week, I suppose. So yeah, so there's
completely off the podium, will they?
Well, yeah, they are. There's Ted Edwards in third. Now, well, yeah, that's them off the podium. Edwards and Pixley are both through.
Edwards up to second.
Yeah, and Strachan, Robert Strachan taking over for Ilko Busing is coming towards the pit entrance as well. Laurent is still stationary. I think they're having some kind of problem switching drivers, which seems like a fairly obvious statement given the circumstances. There, Rebecca then. Oh, Simon.
Oh, my word. An example of how a race can unfold, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
Whether the first incident was a driver error, not selecting Rebecca to take over from Laurent, but then speeding in the pit lane, that is certainly a driver error. Obviously a bit too hasty coming into the pits there, wanting to correct a wrong, and just made matters even worse. Third time into the pits will be the 404 on a one-stop strategy race. That is not the way to win.
It's a lap and a half lost. It's a lap and a half lost with those extra pit stops based on the amount of time that you spend in the pits here at Brands Hatch. So yeah, a race can very quickly unravel, as Simon said. And for Rebecca and the Connection Lost Racing team, that's exactly what's happened. Given a close Strachan, Waizi, Ranjbar, Ostracart are going to lose positions hand over fist. But Simon, you now look like Mystic Meg. The final podium position will be fought over between car 115 and car number 10. I think, and it's not looking like it's going to be long before this fight gets into full swing. The Wild Things Racing Aston is involved in some phenomenal driving in the opening stint, and it looks like it's now up to Pixley and Edwards, taking over from Daly and the Wild Things replacement, Darryl, whose surname I can't remember right now, my apologies. Darryl Young, there we go. But yeah, you were absolutely spot on. Horman last man into the pit, Simon, but 10 and 15 and 115. They are now battling out for the final podium spot.
45 minutes ago, this is going to be action-packed, you know. There's no more biding your time, there's no more patience in this one. You are fighting for position, you are fighting for podiums, victories. You want to get the moves done as quickly as you can now in the final 45 minutes. You've got the fresh rubber, you want to capitalise on driver errors. And Pixley is definitely going to be looking to get the move done on Ted Edwards on the 115, because there is only 12 seconds from the race lead now. Chen is leading the way in the 117. Is 45 minutes too long? for Ted Edwards and Richard Pixley to close that gap up. We'll see how it unfolds. At the minute, the McLaren is doing everything that's needed to hold on to second place, but quite frankly, the top three are way ahead of everybody else. You know, Ted Edwards could actually slot down into third place and be happy with a podium because they've still got 7 seconds over the 71 McLaren, so definitely not a race over if they lose second place. But yeah, you're riding on board with the 404. Definitely is race over for them. They're lucky to still be in the top 10 with the drive-through served. 2 seconds off the 313 BMW, who are 6 seconds off Randbar in the 505. So they could still potentially make their way back up through the field with a couple of positions gained. You know, sixth place potentially for Rybecki. We'll see how fast that driver is behind the wheel, because that's a new driver we haven't seen in the championship yet. As what's happened to the 115? Have they just been able to pull away from Pixley? Oh, massively. I wonder what's happened there. Pixley's lost 4 seconds.
Yeah, that's a lot of time. We'll jump back on a replay then. I was going to do a quick rundown of the order. But yeah, Katrina in the chat as well, who's been cheering on Ted as well, and the drive-through as well. Yeah, Max and Monkey it was. Oh no, he was fine there. All good there through Westfield into Stirling's next. Oh,
Wheel on the grass, just pushed on after that.
oh, so there we go.
Head can breathe for now.
Indeed he can. There we go, forgot to turn. Indeed he did, and it was just before Stirling, so it was Westfield Bend, so yeah. Did the right thing, obviously. You don't want to get back on the power when you've got wheels on the grass. That'll just encourage the car to point in absolutely the wrong direction, probably multiple opportunities as well. The Rookie Monsters and Vivid Global Racing will be reigniting their battle from earlier. This time it'll be Wisey and Strachan. Wisey closing in the McLaren on the Porsche head. They've got 28 seconds up the road. Wolfgang Snalsgaard for Vivid Global Racing up to 4th place with all the penalties that have been going on. So they will avoid ballast, but they'll get themselves a good haul of points. So a good qualifying next week. You see a great race from them. Rybecki, we did wonder if he could make his way through the field. He's already on the back of Osterschars there in 8th position. And he is lapping in the 1 minute 24s already. So he is definitely one of the quicker drivers on the field. 41 minutes. How many positions can he make back up? At the moment, after the pit stops though, it is Mika Santonen for Black Snow Racing that's leading the way in the GT4s Championship, leading McLeod Racing Team despite that extra time in the pits, find themselves in 2nd place with Alex Zakdal for Eclipse Racing in 3rd place at the moment. Sifro for the B-Sim Racing Team in 4th place with Kaczynski in 5th, and Zolotarev in 6th position. Just laughing. If you get it, you get it. Lordell in the chat for the first time. Hello, welcome in. That was a nice Ferrari tactic.
Yeah, that is Mr. Lorenk. That is Lauder. He's the.
Okay, got it. Well then, yeah, completely agree with the second statement. So come on then, what happened? Come and tell your Uncle Raven. What went wrong? Did you just not select a driver, or was he not ready? Were you not ready? Come on, fill us in. The race win was still on, given the pace that you guys were showing in that BMW. I forgot to set Brutus into the car, then I didn't engage the pit because the car just swung. So the drive-through. Oh, didn't engage the pit limit.
Well, we talked about this, John. You know, all it needed was something to go wrong in the race for Connection Loss Racing, which would open up the opportunity to others to capitalise, and then we head into round 1, and the championship isn't actually secured as we first thought. You know, They're down in 9th. They're making a move on the 313. That puts them up into 8th place, just about, as the 313 fights back. But yeah, what seemed to be a certain race victory and one hand on the trophy has now opened it up completely for the final round to decide the champion. So good for us in the commentary booth and for the championship, but unfortunate stuff for them.
Yeah, it definitely is. The teams ahead will certainly be scrambling to get as many points as they can. 21-point difference between the top spot and the 8th that Rybecki for Connection Lost is currently in. Busey, 12-month subscription, bud. Thank you very much. How was your race in the Porsche? We'll have to look at it in here. Extolling the virtues of the Porsche once again. I think he's a bit of a fan of that car. I don't know, just something about him. Just seems to be a massive advocate for that. We are having the Porsche issue, no straight line. But we're saying that there's not many straight lines here, but yeah, the Porsche definitely slightly suffering. Although, Xu Chen lapping 1 minute 24.4, so he is hitting the low 24s. Richard Pixley 24.0 on his last lap, almost a second quicker than Edwards ahead. So this battle for the final 2 podium spots. We thought this was going to be the final podium spot these two were battling for, but it is a podium spot each available to them. It's just a case of which car finishes on which step. Santonen and Ulrich, keeping an eye on that gap there. Santonen doing exactly what he needs to do to bring home the race win. Zach Dahl doing his best, in fact, to catch up on Ulrich to change up the order of the podium there. 17 seconds separating first and second, 5 seconds separating second and third. Oh, that's just got to 6 seconds there. Pixley still running in half a second. They still get 0.2 every state. Wow. Okay.
Well, if it finishes like this, John, I was just checking the standings. You know, the 404 have lost out on a potential 21 points here today.
Yep.
So the number 10, Wild Things Racing, Richard Pixley.
Ooh!
We avoided that very, very well. I was just about to say, what Wild Things Racing need to do is finish second to really mount the pressure. And they've just been gifted that second place because Ted Edwards has made a terrible driver error. Yeah, just overshot it.
It's the second time we've seen that McLaren let go. Daly had an issue with the McLaren as well, and he got himself right back up, and it's exactly the same issue. He did it on the way into Cooper Straight, well avoided by Pixley there. But that onto the Cooper Straight, the McLaren had exactly the same problem. And it's funny, I was actually going to mention Wolfgang Schnelzer. I did say the Vivid Global Racing Team going to get themselves a good haul of points in 4th position. Hold my Sunday roast, says Wolfgang Schnelzer. He is now up on to the podium. So Pixley, we thought he was going to be battling for third. He now finds himself comfortably in second place with an 8-second gap over the rest of the field. And Simon's saying he just needs to bring home as many points as he can, and second place was within sight, and he's reached out and grabbed it. So yeah, Simon, at the start of the stream, we were all saying Connection Lost Racing could well have this one in the bag, but the racing gods have stepped in and decided to keep this one going until the last race of the season, and we've still got 35 minutes of Brands Hatch to go.
Yeah, exactly. Anything can happen still, you know. We haven't seen a single team pick up a drive-through penalty for track limits yet. Touch wood. Racing gods, don't speak too soon. And yeah,
your big mistake was using the word "yet," but anyway.
GT3s, the top 3, the podium finishers, been flipped on its head twice now with the 404 and then the 115 having issues. Chen is thanking his lucky stars today. He's got 20 seconds to the good in the lead. Definitely does not need to put a foot wrong or push that car to its limits, because he is cruising to a well-earned victory. Yep, no worries. Pixley actually has closed 2 seconds on the last lap after getting past Ted Edwards, so that's something to watch. Still 35 minutes to go. If he is lapping that much quicker, there still could be a challenge on for victory, as riding on board the 404, last lap 24.9, GT4 traffic abound, trying to get past, which is obviously going to cause some issues and slow these GT3s down. Santanen, the 230 BMW in the GT4s. That team has not put a foot wrong this weekend, and they are cruising to their very first victory. Actually, 17 seconds to the good over the Ginettas, 41 and 40 in second and third. This is actually going to be their first, not just victory, their first podium in the championship. They've had 2 4th places, 2 5th places, and they're looking good for their first victory. So fantastic stuff from the 230 there with Santanen at the wheel. As we're just watching on board Richard Pixley coming through some lap traffic there, and McLaren just moving nicely out of the way. We'll see the timing deltas update now. We'll see if that gap is being closed. 60 laps complete, 33 minutes remaining, as Chen has actually extended the gap again then, so 18.8. I thought for a second then we might have a challenge for the victory, but Pixley's just lost quite a bit of time on that last lap, so maybe we don't. So then, the running order is the 117. They are probably surprised themselves to be leading this one, but they are leading nevertheless. This is going to be a fantastic result for them in the championship. The 117 has had a bit of an up and down season. They are currently sitting in 9th in the championship. They started the season rather well with a 4th place finish at Alton Park. They then had a really bad round 2. They finished in 15th before bouncing back with a 6th place. They then headed to round number 4, where they finished 9th, and then they didn't even take part for Spa-Francorchamps, so they dropped down the order then by missing that race. But they're bouncing back here with what looks to be a superb victory, which will see them back in contention actually for a top 5 finish in the championship, should things go their way at the final round as well. The 115 is actually still not out of contention either. This is going to be their equal best result if they can hold on to that 4th place. They had a 4th at round number 2. They were missing in action at round number 1 actually. And sorry, no, they took a 3rd place at round number 3, so a 4th, 3rd, 7th and 13th on the cards for Race Ventura, with another 4th place looking good here after just falling off the podium. And Vivid Global Racing, the number 71, they're in 3rd place in the GT3 class. They must be ecstatic with this result, because they've had a 10th at round 1, 8th at round 2. A pretty high result, 4th place at round 3 before dropping back down to 14th for round 4, and then they picked up a 5th place finish at Spa. So a bit of an up and down season for Vivid Global Racing, the 71. They're going to equal and better their best result of the championship, the first podium finish for them if they can hold it all together. And yeah, they're doing exactly what's needed, where they could still actually take 3rd place in the standings, because the 2 SOP Esports racing teams in 3rd and 4th currently before this round are not present here today. They sit in 3rd and 4th on 99 and 97 points respectively. As only 16 seconds actually separate Ulrich in the 41, so they are slowly closing that gap down, John, in the GT4 class. 230 currently holding on at the minute, but the 41 is closing slowly. I don't think they'll be able to get a second a lap or half a second a lap with 30 minutes to go, but they're going to do everything they can to get another top result in the 41 Ginetta. Yeah,
they definitely are. Unbelievably consistent, much like the McLeod BMW. The connection lost. We're hoping for the type of bad luck that's befallen that car. Just watching the Vivid Global Racing car number 2, actually, car 70, Waizi as well, on for a good result. Started in 8th place, just behind the sister car. They're up to 6th at the minute, and they're all over the back of Strachan. They've closed right back up, making their way through the GT4s. Just has to back out ever so slightly there to accommodate the GT4 now. He'll make his way through. Nope. Well, certainly be home to get catch up. He is showing a bit more pace than Strachan at the moment. So, yeah, things looking really good for the Vivid Global Racing team. That would be a 3rd and a 5th. That would be quite the team finish. So, yeah, fingers crossed, actually. Good team of racers. Be great to see them bring home a result. Xu Chen definitely looking to bring home a result here. Top spot is well and truly in his grasp. 28 minutes to go, and he's got a decent gap back to Pixley. 18 seconds that gap is now. Pixley and the Wild Things Racing team putting on another great race, and it is going to be a podium here. Snalsger, as we've been talking, for Vivid Global Racing. Great drive from them. It'll be a well-deserved podium. Should they bring this one home, and in the GT4s, it is Santonen and Ulrich still leading the way. 14.8 seconds now. The gap there, and Zakdal's got the gap down to 5 seconds to Ulrich.
I wonder why Santonen is going slow. Is he coming under any problems, John? Can we see? Because Ulrich is closing in at over a second a lap. Santonen's last lap, 34.1. Ulrich's last lap, if we can jump on board and see that one, John.
Yeah, 33.9.
Okay, 33.9.
So it was quite close. It doesn't look like he's just... In fact, no, Santonen's got the race leader catching up to him. But he has come through, so he maybe just did have a bit of a wiggle on track, or a bit of a wiggle on the curb, which cost him on the previous lap. I might want to add the Rookie Monster course is not running a Mickey Mouse setup. Look, he didn't make it. When teammates turn, eh? And there is the race leader making his way through. Pixley within 18 seconds now. Snalsgaard 10 seconds.
Yeah, the race leader on the race leader. Porsche GT3, BMW GT4.
6 laps up.
Lap complete. Yeah.
Yeah, so Chen on lap 65 currently, and Santonen on lap 59. It just goes to... Luca has gotten to like the extremely negative toe at the rear that everybody is running. I have absolutely no clue about setups either.
Can't beat them. We've got to join them. It's the only way to be fast at the minute.
Or just go to a race room where it's fixed setup racing.
Yeah, there is that, John, actually. It might all be turned on its head anyway on April the 19th, I believe it is. They got the next physics update for version 1.9.
Yes. Have you seen the car, Simon?
Oh, go on. Let's have a full 25-minute segment of the new Ferrari. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, is it a Ferrari? Excellent. The 296. Yeah, can't wait. I actually got sent some photographs. Thank you, Mr. Dr. Neil Bender, you absolute legit legend. I woke up this morning to some 296 photographs from the recent event. The car, yeah. Beautiful machines. It's clever what they've done with the aerodynamics as well.
You know what? It does look rather mean.
Yes.
How aggressive they've gone with like I said, the aerodynamics of it. It should be absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just sitting staring at pictures of a Ferrari now. Yeah, we need to. Yeah, I cannot wait to absolutely get my hands on that thing. It's going to be incredible. We should do a Rookie Monster SOP fun race at some point. There's plenty of drivers between the two of us. Correct. Done. Agreed. Simon, make it happen.
Okay, yeah. Lovely stuff.
Yep.
John, see you on the broadcast.
Excellent. I'll broadcast and race. Boom.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I'm the SOP secret. Nah, even I can't say that with a straight face. I'm not even going to go there. Secret weapon. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm here to distract the Rookie Monsters while SOP win. Nobody is distracting Xu Chen. 505
in the pits and the 505 in the pits with a disconnect. Ranjbar was saying to me before the race that he was struggling with his internet connection in Iran today.
Right, okay.
He was touch and go whether he was going to be helping in the stewarding room. He was lucky to even race as long as he did, but yeah, he's had really bad internet.
That is a nightmare. So yeah, the 505 out. Alright, okay. His internet was looking a bit pingy.
Well, that's just gifted the 404 and everybody beneath them an extra position. That's going to do the championship hopes a few extra points to the good.
Yeah, the sim race gods giveth and taketh away in equal measure. They've taken a podium from the Connection Lost racing team, but they've given them another position back. He's got 17 seconds to find over Waizi. Waizi, I thought he was looking quite good to get the overtake done on Strachan in the Rookie Monsters car. They're now separated by just over a second. So Strachan looking good at this stage to hang on to that 5th position. It'll still be a great finish for Vivid Global Racing as a team to get themselves 3rd and 6th, considering they started 7th and 8th. Great result to bring it home. There goes the Rookie Monsters car through. It's the F1 GT4 just ahead of them. And Pixley now 21 seconds down. So Chen just getting that foot down a little bit harder, then extending that gap ever so slightly, and just confirming that he is the top dog on the top spot at the moment. Pixley still lapping very quickly though. They're getting through the GT4 traffic nice and quickly as well. Edwards, after the back end of the McLaren, decided not to stick for a second time in the race. He's back out in 4th position. Got a good 10 seconds over Strachan, although the gap between Strachan and Waizi's just plummeted again. Yep, just passing another GT4 car. That is Zach Dahl, who is still on the podium. The gap the last time we looked was 5 seconds between himself and Ulrich. It's now up to 9.9.
Yeah, but it's the gap between Ulrich and Santanen, John. That's the major talking point. He's closed another 3 seconds.
Wow.
Down to 11 now. Is that enough time to mount a challenge for the victory here? 11 seconds in 21 minutes. He needs half a second every minute. Seems a bit too much to ask, actually.
It does seem a lot to ask. But you never know. GT3, GT4, multi-class racing. Oh, Waizi has got the move done. Oh, and he got it done out with turn number 2, in fact. So we've completely missed that one on the replay. But yeah, Vivid Global Racing then up into 5th position. Strachan for the Rookie Monsters then in 6th place. So yeah, as a team, Simon, if we start in 7th and 8th and then finishing at the moment, they've got 3rd and 5th place. That is really good return, especially the season They've been there or thereabouts. They've certainly been hovering, but to get 2 cars inside the top 5, phenomenal effort from the Vivid Global Racing team.
Definitely, they should be happy with that result. 1 on the podium, 1 in the top 5. A fantastic team result from those today. Like we said, there's been a couple of teams that have picked up some issues, some driver faults. And, you know, it's the teams that keep it all together that reap the rewards. And Vivid Global Racing have done just that, and they've progressed nicely up through the pack. And you got 3 McLarens in 3rd, 4th and 5th there. McLarens do go well around here, and this is exactly the result that they needed. It's going to be the season best result for every single one of them.
Yeah, definitely is. Strachan not letting this one go though. Busey saying Robert had a skill issue into turn number 1.
I do believe actually for the top 5 it's either going to be a season best or a season equal best result for every single team in the top 5s. They're definitely making the most of bad situations for other teams.
Yeah, to finish first you must first finish.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, and the team's finishing here and bringing home the points that they need. Rebecca again gifted that one at the end. Strachan still hanging on at the back of Waizi. He's not giving up on that one. In fact, Simon, I'll leave you with this for 2 seconds, mate. I just need to go and grab a quick top up on my water for the last 20 minutes. I'll be back in 2, right?
Yep, no problem, mate. No problem. That is fine. So we're riding on board with the number 70, Waizi at the wheel. GT4 traffic just in front, GT3 back markers just in front. They need to be careful as John pops off now. This is actually a battle for position. Strachan looking to fight his way back with the GT4 traffic in the way. They've got to be very careful because that is the race leader of the GT4s. He doesn't want to do anything to hamper his chances of victory in the GT4 class. He's going to hold the race in line as Strachan needs to be careful. Bit of door banging side by side going down the straight. Not sure why they're turning into each other there, but they eventually get past each other, and there's a bit of breathing space now on number 70 and the number 37 as we're seeing drive-through penalties for track limits now for the 4 and the 555 in consecutive laps, picking up drive-through penalties for track limits. The day goes from bad to worse already at the rear of the field, already involved with a number of incidents, which sees the 4 and the 555 at the rear of the GT4 pack. Once again having to come into the pits to make unnecessary stops, which, I mean, at this stage of the race they're already miles off any type of good finishing position. So yeah, their day just goes from bad to worse with drive-through penalties to serve as well. That means, especially in the GT4 class, that the top 4 positions are secure. The 230's got a nice gap to the 41, who's got a nice gap to the 40, who's got a nice gap to the 912. That is how it should finish, ladies and gentlemen, because the number 4 and 515 have just served drive-through penalties of their own. At the rear of the GT3 pack, back connected into the race of the 505. So it was connection lost, connection regained. The 505 is there in 12th, the 404 is there in 7th. They're now 13 seconds adrift of a top 6 finish as Waizi and Strachan just negotiate the Simulation Esports Porsche, who've just served a drive-through penalty. And they continue as they were. 15 minutes remaining in this one. 24 seconds is the gap for the race leader. Mr. Chen hasn't put a foot wrong since taking over the race lead. The 117 Porsche having a fantastic day of it. The number 10, Mr. Pixley, he's held on to second now. He's looking comfortable there with a 11-second gap to Schnalge in the 71, who's just holding off Ted Edwards. 5 seconds is that gap. I don't think he's going to be able to close that one. And yes, Mr. Busink, it is going to be around September where we introduce Season 3 of the World Endurance Championships. We are thinking of coming back with the World Endurance Championships with a slightly different format, actually. was building that championship this week in preparation, and it looks like we're going to settle on something slightly different. I'm still undecided on whether it's going to be either a 5 or 6 round championship, but races are only going to be 5 hours long, so each round is going to be 5 hours with 45-minute stint timers in the race. So even though it's an endurance race, it's going to be sprint racing endurance, 45-minute stint timers. With the 45-minute stint timers, there is only going to be 5 tyre sets for the entire weekend. So 5 tyre sets for the 5 hours of racing, including qualifying.
Wow. I like that.
Yeah, I'm not going to release the calendar yet because there may be new tracks in this update coming on April the 19th. So if there is, they're definitely going to be included. My best guess is, if they go in European tracks, you've got Mangicours and Valencia that are on the European calendar that they may introduce, or they may bring in some more American tracks like Road America. Or they may even go over to Asia and bring some of those tracks into the game. So not only are we getting the new manufacturers, but if they bring in some new tracks as well, they'll definitely get introduced into the new Endurance Championship.
Yeah, looking forward to that. And I'll take myself off.
No, we cannot, John.
I'm back on it. So there we go.
Okay.
That's me told.
Yeah, I can't announce the Race Room Championship either because we're just waiting to hear back from one sponsor. So hopefully that's confirmed next week, and then I can't wait to announce that one either, to be honest.
Yeah, that'll be good. And as far as the replacement for the F4 leagues, how about
nothing on Tuesdays at the minute.
So we can go F3s then.
F3s, you want to upgrade from F4s,
yep.
do you?
Yep. Yeah, I've been told there's a lot of drivers like to get involved in them, so we'll see.
We'll see how popular the next championship is. I'm sure it's going to be very popular with what we've got lined up.
I think it might be, Simon.
But then I may do a completely different day for Race Room. I'm not sure yet. I don't know if it was just the Tuesdays that were a problem for drivers or if it was the F4s, but the Tuesday championship had half as many drivers, so I want to try and rectify that first.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can confirm the racing in the F4s, there's no arguing, it's some of the best racing you can do. It's just incredible stuff. But there is still a race in the championship going on. We've got 11 minutes left of this one. All the announcements coming soon. So make sure you get yourselves into Discord. Yeah, jump into Discord, get up to date with everything that we've got going on. ACC and Race Room Leagues will be announced very soon. You absolutely 100,000,000% want to get yourself involved with what SOP have got coming up. Right, let's have a look at what we've got on the track at the moment. Mika Santanen, 11 minutes to go, still leading the way. Ulrich is following and he is down to 6.9 seconds. So he really is making it. Really is. This is going to be last lap. Last lap dash. As always at SOP, the last 10 minutes are usually the spiciest. Alex Zagdal for Eclipse Racing in third place. Then it's Kevin Sofro for the B-Sim. Hope I'm getting that someplace close to correct. Apologies. But he is in fourth place with Kaczynski in fifth for Simulation Esports. Another course going side by side with him in F1 Memes Racing. Currently in fifth position. In the GT4s. For the GT3s, phenomenal performance from Xu Chen and the gang. Up at the front of the field. Pixley for Wild Things Racing in second. Snalsger for Vivid Global in that third place, and a big gap over Edwards since we saw the McLaren let go, but still fourth place for the Race Ventura team. Good finish. UYZ. Sorry, finishing are coming along in fifth place at the minute. Got a good overtake on Strachan and has stretched that gap out to 2.9 seconds since he got that overtake done. Rebecca running very quickly indeed at the moment, trying to catch up to Strachan ahead, but with 14 seconds of a gap and 9 minutes left to go. That is an absolute monster ask. Osterschars for the Simulation Esports team in 8th place. Then the Ekman, now I can't remember if they said they were brothers or cousins.
I think it's cousins.
I think it is cousins, yeah. But Alexander and Christian Ekman in the McLaren, running in 9th. Then the NOV2 Motorsports team in 10th place. And a RAN racing team did manage to make it back out. Amir Kashiktrash has taken the wheel with the connection issues that Ramsbar was having. And they're back out in 11th. And Gonsharuk, has made it back out for the F1 Memes team. After the win last week, down in 12th this week, the 20-second success ballast and another 20 seconds worth of penalties for contacts early in the race. And a connection issue as well, it would seem. We've seen them drop right down to the back of the field. 6.5 seconds is the gap. So this really is where we need to be focusing our attention. Again, I think that Rebecca catching Strachan is going to be a bit of a tall order. 13 seconds. That's now sitting, I tell you. That'd be an Olympic turnaround if he gets himself back up to 6th. And if he does, if Rebecca can get himself back up to 6th, Simon, that is, it's going to be, they're going to have to consider that a very, very, very good result considering the issues that they had. We were saying when they were in like 9th or 8th, we were saying that Pixley really wanted to get himself up to 2nd. Since Pixley has, Rebecca's made up another couple of positions. That gap now at 12 seconds. So yeah, Rebecca really is doing everything he can to claw back as many points as possible.
Yeah, exactly what's needed. I mean, they were gifted the position because the 505 disconnected as well. So the best finishing position they were looking on was 8th place. They're now in 7th. I don't think they're going to catch 6th at this rate, but it certainly leaves the championship a bit wider open going into the final round. They've now only got their pinky finger on the championship trophy rather than one whole hand.
Yeah.
But as long as they just finish, within 5 positions of the number 10 Wild Things Racing, I think they've got the championship sewn up. They don't even have to beat them. I think as long as Pixley or Wild Things Racing number 10 is around the top 3, I think the 404 can be around the top 6 to 10 and they would still take the championship. So yeah, they just need to make sure they finish this round and finish the next round in decent enough positions to take the championship, even if the number 10 wins.
Yeah, there is as well though a silver lining to the cloud, which is they won't have any extra time in the pits next week, whereas Chen Pixley and Snarlsgaard definitely will. So it's an ill wind that blows nobody some good. They might be finishing outside the podium, but I would say that if you take into consideration the fact they won't have ballast next week, I think this result actually, hashtag calculated. Straight in the chat. I love to see it. But yeah, so Rebecca finishing even in 7th, Simon, that means that they've got no balance. And given the performance they've got next week, I mean, it's hard to see them finish doing anything other than winning next week's race now, really. True,
yes, that is a factor to be played out as well. The success penalties, 404, they pretty much had either 20 seconds or 15 seconds to serve every race, and they've still finished on the podium in every race. So the fact that they're going to be going into the final round with any success penalty at all should see them victorious, especially because the number 10 is going to be there with a 15-second penalty to serve in their pit stop, which is definitely going to hamper their chances of taking the championship.
It certainly is. We've got Vivid Global Racing in the chat. Good afternoon. Good evening. Sorry, 8 o'clock. I've got the blinds closed. Yeah, good evening. Welcome in. First time chat. P3, Simon, we've just found out they've actually been carrying 14 seconds worth of damage. For
yes,
so... they've accumulated it over the race, right, okay.
Yes, they were involved in an incident with Rookie Monsters 37. That's why they picked up a 10-second penalty before their stop.
Yep.
But that's why they've also got damage on their car, I guess. They've just confirmed that they didn't fix it in the pit stop, and I guess it's played out in their favour to hold a podium position. So.
Yeah, indeed. If they'd stayed in to get that 14 seconds, they would currently be behind Edwards. But yeah, Vivid Global, we're just saying, phenomenal result for both your cars, starting 7th and 8th, 3rd and 5th. But first, hello to you two. Thanks for the nice stream. Absolutely welcome. Hello to yourself as well. Thank you for constantly entering teams. We'd love to see the teams coming back and bringing more and more cars, especially the teams that bring good, clean racers. Not that we've got a problem with dirty racers in these leagues at all. I'm just saying we do have a lot of drivers, and the racecraft is of the highest order. And strategy-wise, it's been pretty flawless from the Vivid Global Racing team, as we'll see. Easy. Crossing the line, that 5th place, 3 minutes left to go. Xu Chen put on a masterclass. He was definitely hanging with Laurent for pace. It'll be interesting to see the start of next week's race at Donington. Will we see the Porsche mixing it up at the front with the BMW? Pixley and the Wild Things Racing Aston Martin are going to be there or thereabouts, so certainly at least until they get up to the pit stops and the penalties all kick in. There is another follow, Antonio Garcia. Good evening. Thank you very much for the follow. Welcome into SOP. We're just in the dying embers of a 2-hour race. It's the penultimate race in Season 3 of the British GT Championship. We're off to Donington next time out. It's difficult for me to say the name of that track with a straight face. It is a tricky one. That's April the 2nd for the final round of that one. Oh, and another follow as well, see on the back of that. Jota, ELSR Jota, thank you very much. BC, what did I get the 10 seconds for? The 2 bumps on the McLaren, question mark. I think so, BC. Would that be correct, Simon?
Yes, it is, yes.
Yes,
the 10 seconds accumulated. There was 2 separate small incidents, which were 5 seconds each.
Alright, that's the broadcast notification. Yeah, haven't seen many penalties, and in fact, Simon, something that I did expect to see a lot of, and we've seen 0. Even though you used the word.
You're wrong. When you disappeared, there was 2 drive-through penalties for track limits in GT4s.
Alright, okay. Got you. DZ Shocks, how we doing? Can you tell Simon thanks for the entry list? I spoke to you yesterday, of course, during the Wiz Motorsport Mindwise endurance race. So thank you very much for jumping in there. And again, anybody that's watching that did give time, share the link or chip in towards that charity. Phenomenal stuff. Thank you very much. But can you tell Simon thanks for the entry list? So yeah, last minute entry list changes, Simon. You are being thanked for. Your administrative duties are being appreciated. It's nice to be the secretary once in a while, isn't it, Simon?
Some say I can do my job well, some say I can't. There we go.
All we know is he's called Simon. Sorry, that just felt like a stick type intro there.
Can you ask Simon if me slowing down and letting the car pass after contact? There's been quite a few incidents, so I can't even remember which incident that is now, to be honest. But yes, we do take it into consideration if teams and drivers to slow down and give their position back when handing out penalties.
There we go, we're into the closing laps.
Too little, too late for Ulrich, isn't it, John?
It is
3
just
seconds.
Oh, the leader's finished the race. Ah, sorry. I thought he was just about to start his last lap. There we go. Sack the broadcaster. He's useless, honestly. But Xu Chen, definitely not useless. Great race from him and Zach Duran to bring home the top spot. Richard Pixley is going to round the last corner for Wild Things Racing to pick up a second spot on the podium. Nicely done. And Wolfgang Schnalzger, 14 seconds of accumulated damage over the race. Started in 7th, 4 places. He's made his way up through the field. He's going to cross the line for the first podium for the team in the competition. Fantastically well done to them. Ted Edwards, so close to a podium themselves with the Race Ventura team. Closing in at the end. If it wasn't for that slight mistake, the podium was definitely on their 4th place for them. And we can see Santanen just coming through Stirling. There's why easy crossed the line confirmation. He got 5th. Strachan very soon. We'll get 6th there. We'll go with that. And Rebecca is going to come across the line and collect points for 7th place. Osterschars already in the pits. The Ekman McLaren is going to be given 9th with Clark, Kasikras and Goncharak finishing 10th, 11th and 12th. And there's Santanen bringing home the win for Black Snow Racing. Ulrich in 2nd for the McLeod Racing team. Zachdahl for ERS rounding out the podium in the GT4s. And what a race that is. And yes, Simon, that result could not, from a spectator's point of view anyway, that result couldn't be any better going into the final week of the competition.
No, exactly. It's left the championship wide open in both classes. 2 brand new winners in both classes of GT3 and GT4 as well. So that's lovely to see. And we go into the final round at Donington next week, and it's all to play for, which is exactly what we want when we create these types of championships. It's a sword of 2 sides, isn't it? Because you want championships to last until the final round. But then you also have to praise top performances where they can wrap up championships before the end of the championship. So, yeah, almost there today for the 404. I think there was a driver error. They could have been champions already heading into the final round, but they kept it open for us. Thank you very much for doing that. And actually, I think the GT4 championship is wrapped up by the number 41. Finishing in 2nd place here today because the 888 machine was absent. So I think they've wrapped up the GT4 championship, but the podium positions are still wide open heading into the final round. So lots of things still to play for in the championship at Donington decided next week.
Yes, indeed, and a nice open flowing track that's easy to overtake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, it could be easier for them considering it's going to be a dry race rather than a wet race. So we'll see what happens.
This is true. So we're letting them off the hook ever so slightly. Right. Oh, I wonder if it's the underscore. But there we go. Thank you very much, BC. Yeah, hopefully speak to you again soon. Thank you for the subscription as well. Thank you for the follows. ELSR Jota, Antonio Garcia, Strix, Headsock, Toxif, Leprechaunenva, hope I'm getting that right, Briggs, Lama Chaos, and Morgan Davey, one of the chancellors, gave us a follow earlier on today. So if you're watching, Morgan, thank you very much for the follow. I am going to very quickly, what we're going to do first, jump into the Discord. There is the Discord group if you want to get involved in any of the racing and just keep up to date with everything that we've got going on. More championships being announced soon. And please keep an eye on the announcements. So like I say, what the SOP have got planned coming up. Absolutely incredible stuff. And yeah, Busey, let's go on to Simon and get an SOPV Rookie Monsters race. That sounds like a lot of fun. But until then,
We'll get this fixed for the next championship.
Yeah, we'll get the rating and everything done for the next championship. But yeah, thank you to everyone that gave us a follows, for the subscriptions as well. Everyone in the chat, thank you to all the racers that laid on some phenomenal action there right through the GT3s and the GT4 class. And of course, thank you to the man joining me in the commentary booth once again, Mr. SOP himself, Simon Baggas.
Not a problem whatsoever, John. We'll see you for the final round next week.
Indeed, we shall. Absolutely cannot wait. So until we meet again, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay safe and have a great rest of your night. Good night.